Tisue podcast, guest number 5 is Chief Master Sergeant Select Andrew Kehl. Chief Kehl is the Kunsan Fire Department Fire Chief and rose to the rank of Chief in just 18 years active duty. Chief Kehl goes by AJ and is a man of many unique hobbies. AJ was a contributing factor to me starting this podcast, as he had his own podcast at one point that lasted 20 episodes. He aided me, along with Brian Belford, in shopping for podcast supplies on Amazon when I asked him for help back in February. During this podcast, we talk about his published book, My Rich Uncle, An Informal Guide to Maximizing Your Enlistment. In his words, it's a book that keeps it real about the Air Force. It also describes some leadership ideas and strategies for promotion if that's what's important to you. We talk about a moment that I observed called Fire Chief for a Day. AJ had an Airman First Class hold his duty title and wear his Fire Chief patch for an entire day, just so the young airman could see what goes on in the fire department at a larger scale. The airman later had to brief about 30 other firefighters on what he learned during that duty day. I reflect on the idea and consider bringing it into the air traffic control world with our younger airmen. AJ talks about never winning an award until his 15-year mark in the Air Force. The award that he finally won ended up being one of the biggest awards an Air Force member can win. AJ was recognized as one of the 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year. He talks about that experience and the opportunities that came from the award. AJ has a lot of experience, lots of certifications, and a lot of followers. He shares a lot of useful and insightful information. I thoroughly enjoyed the 2 hours, and I hope anyone else that listens to does.
Oh, yeah. The old record button, baby.
I feel like you've done podcasts before.
Yeah, man. Once or twice.
Just falling apart for us here.
I know, right?
All right, so today I've got Andrew Kehl, a guy I've seen around base a lot. Something that he did that really impressed me, and what I liked you was one of the first things I met you, told you my name was John Tisue, and the next time you saw me, you called me John. And I'm huge on first names. Yeah. I'm huge on learning someone's names, and you did it. And I think that was like my first impression of you.
Yeah, man. You know, definitely some of the like greatest leaders I've ever known. They remember not just names, man. They like remember shit. You know what I mean? Like they remember like what you talked about. And so I definitely try to do that. In that Dale Carnegie book we were talking about earlier, that's like one of the things he talked about was like learning names, you know? Yep. And it's hard, man, but there's people out there, man, they remember hundreds, man. And I think those are the greatest. Yeah.
I don't think it's hard. Well, man, I guess it is hard because all of us are saying it's hard, but it's easier to just say I'm bad with names than it is to just remember someone's
It's like
name.
the easy way out, right?
Yes.
Man.
It's the easy way out. Yeah, that's the way to put it.
My buddy Scon, I'll send him this link. He taught me a thing where like he says he'll meet somebody, right? And they'll have a great conversation. And like him, I love like deep meaningful relationships, right? And in order to cultivate those, we got to like remember what we talked about. Mm-hmm. So he uses like this mind mapping software called MindNode, and he'll like write down like, okay, I talked to John Tisue, right? This is kind of what he does, or like where I met him. And then like maybe 3 to 5 bullet points about the conversation. And then before he goes to see that person again, let's say later down the road at an event or whatever, he'll quickly check his phone and pop it open and then, okay, cool. And then engage in the conversation based off of things you talked about, like say your dog was sick or something. And like people like really react to that. Like, oh, dude, you remembered my dog was sick? Yeah. You know what I mean?
I can imagine just people remembering your name is one thing. And then you remember my dog's name and then it's sick. Yeah, I feel like that's cool. It is cool. It's almost cheating though. It's almost cheating, but like, it's awesome because I feel like I have a limited hard drive, you know what I mean? And like, if you're not trying, it is super easy to just forget. You have to try. Is that something you've done?
Yeah,
here?
I absolutely did. And you know who got me on that was Colonel Clark. So Colonel Tad Clark was Wolf here prior to Colonel Hammond, man. And
that's Bengal, and that's how you know him, right?
That's how I know him. Yeah. And he would remember everything. And one day I was like, hey, Colonel, what the hell, man? Like, how do you remember like actual bits of conversation from 8 months ago? I don't understand that. And he just said that he makes it a point to take like 2 or 3 things from every conversation that he can and then digest them. And then that way he remembers them later. And man, it meant a lot to me. So I can imagine it means a lot to other people if I do it, you know?
Yeah, that makes so much more sense. And it's just that little effort that makes a connection and someone willing to probably do anything. Because I never really worked directly for Colonel Clark, but everyone would always say he's like the best guy.
Dude, he's so nice.
Yeah. And that was the cheat sheet. He would just take a couple notes once he talked to you.
He's so awesome, man. Colonel Clark is a great guy. I hope he gets to see this too. That guy's awesome. I think did he make general? He might have made general.
I hope so, but I do not know.
This is a general maker right here, though, right?
Yeah.
If you're Wolf, man, you're all in.
Yeah.
I mean, our chief of staff was freaking Wolf, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
General Brown. So we got into it so quick. This is a really good start. I didn't even get to introduce you. We got F-16
I'm sorry.
sounding you off.
F-16s, you know, freedom.
That's what it is. So AJ Kehl, what's your real for Andrew? Is that?
Yeah, so my mom named me Andrew, but I was going by AJ like my whole life. When I got into real estate, I switched back to Andrew, and then I got out of real estate and switched back to AJ. So,
So what else? What else? Like, tell us a little bit more about yourself while I pour myself this Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, I got to try that. Yeah, well, I've been in the Air Force I'll hit 18 years this year, man, and like it's all I know. If I'm being honest with you, bro, like I graduated high school. My mom was raising a single mom with 2 boys. I had really no other options. And I knew I wanted to be a firefighter, so I joined to be a firefighter. And firefighting is all I've ever really known. The only time I got out of fire was like I did 2 years in like the innovation realm, right? So I got to stand up an innovation office at Spangdahlem and do a lot of cool stuff in Europe. That was awesome.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. Did you contribute to that Spark Tank Award that they got?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
So it was like a huge catalyst for me too. And I didn't even know it at the time. Like I was working on these things that were just fun and facilitating big events. And like, I didn't realize that it was going to like cascade into like big awards and stuff like that. You know, it just kind of all happened, man. But yeah, anyway, so I'm here. I came from Nellis prior, and now I'm here with you in Korea. Dude, the whole time overseas. I'm lucky as hell.
18 years?
Other than Vegas. Vegas is the only time I've been in the States, man. Multiple deployments, of course, like everyone in CE. And now I'm here. And then I'm going to Dover after this and kind of trying to figure it out, man. I got a couple years, you know, that I have to give, and then we'll see.
18 years in the military. What do you want to do when you get out? I feel like you're a guy invested in so many different hobbies.
Yeah, I got plans. I'm not going to lie. You know, I can't give all the top secrets, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Either I'm going to continue fire because it really is a good transition into the GS world, man. Put on we call it the white shirt, right? The white shirt with the bugles, and maybe go be an assistant chief or a fire chief somewhere. But I'm really interested in getting into the GSA contract game. You know, I'm really interested in maybe learning how to write contracts and try to bid for contracts back to the Air Force, because I feel like along the way, man, like we notice like where the pain is, and like we try to fix it. But if you look at it from the other side, when you get out, I mean, you can monetize it too. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at that, or maybe, you know, teaching online and living in Tulum, Mexico, or something like that, man.
Those are 2 secrets. What are the rest of them?
Man, I can't tell you all of them.
Come on, let's put them all out. That's what this is for.
In Air Force fire, there are, just like every like industry, there's issues, right? And there are companies out there that they solve issues. Well, I know of a few things that I've found that really we're not really solving very well. And yeah, I hope to get a contract for one of them one day, you know? Yeah, man.
I hope you get one. Something you said that I thought was really interesting is being part of the innovation team, and that was new, I guess 2018, 2017 is when you were doing it.
Yeah, so that was 15.
15, okay.
Way before it was like the most liberally used word in the whole world.
It's been on every EPR of mine for the last 3 years. It's ridiculous,
right? Everyone wants a piece of it.
Right, but so right before I left Germany, they were like trying to give, I'm going to throw a number out there. I think it was like $200,000 to just come up with an idea and run with it for like air traffic simulation stuff.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I was about to leave, and no one really wanted to do it because it was time out of their own day to do it. But in my head, I was like, this is like, what an opportunity. Here's $200,000, more money than you'll get 5 years working. Yeah. Go blow it and try to do something cool. Like, it was such a cool opportunity, and it was surprising how many people didn't want to do that.
It really was, yeah. Remember the idea program? Like, that was one of those things where, like, if you come up with an idea, you can get paid, same thing. I think you can actually get paid like the individual was getting paid. Like, if you saved, let's say you saved, you know, $100,000, like, the Air Force literally would give you like 10 G's or something.
Like 10%?
To you. Yeah, it was crazy. They got rid of it, though, a few years back, and then went into that whole the Spark Tank piece. But, man, the Spark Tank thing is pretty legit. I mean, even here at Kunsan, you know, wing commanders are getting this money for good ideas. And, like, if you pitch a good idea and it saves time or money, like, and it makes sense, like, dude, they'll give it a thumbs up and give you a bunch of money, man. I mean, that's how we got this, like, the pump simulator thing. It's like a fire engine simulator thing for training. I mean, that thing cost like $100,000, man, and we couldn't afford it in our budget. So we went to the Spark Tank thing and pitched it, and the wing commander's like, yeah, let's do it. And you're like, damn, that's $100,000 just like that.
The Wolf just gave it to you.
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
you know, hopefully we get it, Wolf. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that is really cool. So you did podcasts for a while. How was that? What kind of interest? What was the most like interesting person you talked to?
Man, the podcasting was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be on here, man. I appreciate first this setup. Like this is way more legit setup than I had. I was using Squadcast, which is like we can see each other digitally.
It's like there's some kind of thing.
Yeah, and the audio wasn't as good. I mean, you did it right, but I think I had during my podcast time, it was called Real Talk with AJ Kehl, right? Got to keep it real. And I want to say I did probably like, I don't know, 20 episodes maybe or something like this. And I would say the most interesting person I had on there, damn, I had some pretty cool people, man. I had like just to give you a quick rundown, I had my buddy Harry Kibbe. So Kibbe was like the main PA guy for Chief Wright on Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force team. Mm-hmm. That was cool because he was giving me some like inside shit, right? He was like talking to me about some of the stuff they're talking about on the golf course, and he was giving me. It was really cool to see like behind the curtain on what it's like to work for the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. That was pretty dope. I had my friend McKenna, and she's a lieutenant in the Space Force, and she was the very first graduating class out of the Space Force. That's cool. That was super cool. Talking about like why she wants to be an astronaut and all this kind of stuff, like astronaut talk. It was pretty legit.
Yeah, I can't show you. I have a astronaut tattoo on my arm. That's a lot of people compliment. Yeah, I can't show you right now, but sometime. But yeah, that was like,
right here with that.
Let me take my shirt off.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, we've only had half a bourbon.
Give me another hour. But yeah, like I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, and just didn't happen. So I did the next best thing and joined the Air Force and got a tattoo of an astronaut. So.
That is the next best thing. A bunch of people like in boot camp, they get the Hap Arnold wings or whatever. They're like, I'm in the Air Force.
Yeah, I thought about it.
You know what I'm saying?
I considered that.
And then like 6 months later, like, damn it.
Yeah.
Who else did I have on there, man? I don't even. Damn. I had a bunch of cool people though. Obviously, I had the same Gene, Sheeta EOD. Yep. We both had him on our podcast, and that was cool. Just talking about blowing stuff up and what it's like to be an EOD member. But yeah, I mean, I had my buddy talk about finance. My buddy Brian, we were talking about finance a lot. I had my buddy Scon that I mentioned earlier, and he's one of the smartest dudes in the whole Air Force, man. He's a staff sergeant right now, but he could get out and make $500,000 a year like nothing. I mean, the guy's a genius. He teaches me a lot of stuff. He's a friend, but he's also like almost a mentor to me. And the dude's a staff. When he was an airman, he was mentoring me, man. Like, this is the guy that got me started on SharePoint before SharePoint was even like a thing. And he literally customized like a custom home screen for fire departments. Okay. The Air Force portal was the only thing that had like a sliding tile, and he creates this whole front thing for fire departments. And we made that thing go global, man. Like, it was used at one time, like grip of fire departments across the world. I mean, this guy's, awesome. So I had him on the podcast. So podcasting was a lot of fun, man. I just got I had too many irons in the fire, and I had to start dropping a few, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So is that why it stopped for you? You had too many hobbies and things going on?
Yeah. I think I was looking at I don't know why it stopped exactly. I got into teaching and a couple other kind of ventures I was doing, especially with our family real estate business, and time just became, how it is, you got to prioritize it, man.
I'm starting to feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was fun, but I wasn't monetizing. And if there are other things that are monetizing, it's like, damn, what do you choose? Right. So,
yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I like about this so far. I'm money side would be cool, but I'm not too worried about that. It's just fun to talk to people in this environment where you're going to say really interesting shit, and I just get to learn from it.
Yeah, man. It is fun. And it helps too that you have the best equipment here, man.
Yeah. Damn. Everyone always tells me that too, which makes me feel good.
It sounds great. I hope it sounds good on YouTube too, especially because I'm going to share it. Oh, here's my shout out. I got a shout out to my girlfriend, Alexa. Ooh. Boom. Boyfriend points. I didn't even have to on the board. I didn't even remind myself.
I told him, hey, put on whoever you want to say hi to on there. Yeah. I didn't do it.
I had to give her a shout out though.
12 minutes in.
12 minutes in?
You thought of her.
Yeah.
Check.
You're welcome.
Alexa, thanks for letting him spend some time with me today.
Dude, her name's Alexa, which is the worst because when we first started dating, it would be I had her over to the house, right? And I got like echoes, you know, so they're like all over. And I'm like, hey, Alexa, you want some more wine? And like my whole freaking house lights up blue, dude. You know, I'm like, oh, shit, I got to change this. So I changed all my echoes to, you can only change it to like Alexa, Echo, or Amazon. Okay. And so I was like, oh, Echo it is, right? So now to this day, everything is Echo, man.
What assholes where they don't let you pick your name? You can.
I know.
Yeah. Here's 3 you can pick from.
I know, right? I want it to be like Ozzy Osbourne voice or something, you know?
So wait, so you said you teach now, like college level classes?
Yeah, I teach. I volunteered to teach like management classes online, and then I'm trying to get into like my grad work was in leadership, executive leadership, and so I'd like to teach leadership. It's one of those like broad categories that everyone's kind of seeking in one way or another. So I'd like to get in that. But yeah, I teach management, and then I teach a lot of like business process improvement as well.
Okay. Yeah, actually, so I have a little cheat because he recently got selected for chief, and I got to go to your ceremony, which was really cool.
That was pretty for here, right? That was pretty sweet.
That was really good. Yeah. But what was cool was like seeing your printout thing of all your accomplishments and awards, and we go to the same school, Columbia Southern University. I'm
nice.
two away from my master's in organizational leadership as well.
Oh, sweet.
And I was like, oh, look at that. One more thing in common.
Yeah.
So when you were saying you were teaching, is that I didn't really know when I get that degree what it can help me with. It's just the Air Force pays for it, so why not do it? And has that given you any avenues graduating with a master's?
I don't know if it has yet. The only reason I went after it, like my undergrad I did in my industry. So it's fire administration, right? And then for graduate, I always recommend to people like, hey, if you don't really know, do something broad, like management, leadership, human resource, stuff like that. I really did it because I knew I had to keep going past undergrad because it was free. Like if you're not spending free money, I knew it was free. I knew I had to keep going. And then I thought, okay, what does the Air Force need from like senior leaders? They need leadership, right? And like once I said that, I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go with leadership. And I knew it would reflect well on boards for senior and chief, like because I mean, if I went after like basket weaving, like it might not look good, right? But if I go after executive leadership, it's like, hey, like, okay, that's who we want, right? We want executive leaders. So that's the only reason I went for it, man. And like, truthfully, I don't even like school. It sucks, but it's free money. So
I agree. It is free money. So when we're talking about mentors who are a lot younger than you or lower rank, I have this guy, Justin Gray, who is, I think he was still at A1C when I don't know if I was a master select or a master, one of the two. We'll just go as a select. But one time I was taking like 2 classes a year, using 30% of our TA. And he was like, Sergeant Tisue, let me ask you something. I was like, what? He's like, do you like free money? And I'm like, well, of course. He's like, if I could just give you $4,500 a year, would you take it? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And he's like, then why aren't you using all your TA?
I know.
And it took someone like 5 ranks lower than me to be like, dude, you're just wasting this money. And so I was like, you're right. And he was taking 6 classes a year. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to match you to the best I can.
Dude, isn't that what was crazy is when they took away TA, right? Mm-hmm. Like everyone was all up in arms, bro. But the data suggested that only like 17% of people are freaking utilizing
it's my right.
So 100% of people are whining and bitching, but only 17. I'm like, why are y'all complaining? You don't even use it, But I'm glad it's back.
I am too.
Is it back 100% or
$4,500 a year?
Okay.
Yeah. It was I think $3,750 for a while, and then they gave it to us all.
It went back?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to use that, man. I mean,
it's free money.
It's free money, and to think that you can have a graduate degree for free is insane, And then after that, I was like, shit, like, what do I do? Right. I know I need to keep self growth. Right. And I was doing some stuff in my industry with fire. I'm involved. I'm really proud of this. I'm the DOD's advocate for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. And that comes with a lot of teaching as well. And so I knew I would needed classes for that. And I'm really stoked about that. But I also knew I needed to keep going like in the military leadership realm. So I went on Chief Wright's bio. I shit you not, this is a true story. And I was telling Wolf Chief this the other day. I went on his bio and I'm like, okay, well, let me just see if there's something I could do, right? I mean, shit, might as well emulate the dude who's the dude, right?
That's a really like simple and obvious strategy I never thought of.
Right. So I look at it and I'm like, what the hell is that? And he had a graduate certificate in executive leadership from Cornell. I'm like, this dude went to Cornell, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. All right, Chief, I see you. So I look it up. And I'm like, damn, there is a course, right? And it was like, I think it was like 3,000 or something, right? $3,000. And I was like, I went to the squadron and I asked the squadron chief, I'm like, hey man, TA is not going to cover this. I was at senior in COA. I'm on the phone with him. Hey, TA is not going to cover this. What do you think? This is how I'll give back to the squadron with this, right? And he was like, yeah, man, he was awesome. Dave Bowerman is his name. Awesome dude. And he's like, yeah, I got you. And they paid for it. So now I have that same thing as Chief Wright had.
From Cornell?
From Cornell, yeah. So
Andy
I finished.
Bernard went there. I don't know if you're an Office fan or not.
Fair. I have the mug. I should have brought that shit. I had the best boss or whatever. Yeah. I have it in my room. Okay. Damn, my girl bought that for me. Yeah.
Alexa,
the guys love it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's pretty legit.
So you have a certificate from Cornell, and the Air Force paid $3,000 from, or your squadron paid $3,000 for it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That is.
Really that's a good. Hey, for y'all listening, like, I mean, it's a trick of the trade. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I mean, the thing is I looked at it like, hey, I was a deputy fire chief at the time, senior master sergeant. Mm-hmm. I was like, look, I'm going to take what I learned and then I'll do like, developmental seminars or whatever. Like, I'm going to give back. I'm going to give my time back. And that's a small price to pay, $3,000. I mean, that's like nothing, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially in the DTS.
Don't give the next airman a rental car. He'll be fine.
Right. So yeah, man, it worked out. And now I have no freaking clue what to do next as far as education. I don't know, man, So I'm learning a lot. Like, here's the deal. I'm telling you, best $15 ever spent. YouTube Premium. I mean, it's insane. Like, I'll literally sit in Harvard lectures for nothing, right? Like, that's like $500,000 a year freaking tuition. And I'll sit in lectures on my TV on YouTube Premium. I'll watch TED Talks, Google Talks. Like, you got like world-renowned folks, like all these books that you have over here, like all of them doing their speeches and stuff for free on YouTube Premium. I learn everything about finance. I learn everything. Like, YouTube Premium is the best, and I can't say it enough.
Yeah, so I have YouTube Premium, but literally just so I don't have to watch commercials. And I didn't know there's like extra features.
Yeah, it's in bed. First of all, dude, you can never watch an ad again, right?
Oh yeah, like good for it. I make too much money to watch ads.
When I'm on somebody's YouTube and I'm watching an ad, I'm like, you peasant! Like, what is happening here?
Same with Spotify. I was at the Hooch and someone had like Spotify and then an ad. I was like, what are you doing?
It's brutal.
Why would you even hook your phone up?
Yeah, so YouTube Premium is the heat. I'm telling you, man. Best $15 of my life. And it comes with YouTube Music Premium as well, which is cool too. But yeah, so that's where my education comes from now.
Just YouTube videos. So no credentials, just straight learning and growing.
Dude, no. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of industry stuff. I try to write for like industry magazines and stuff like that. And like I said, with the foundation, I try to, they have training platforms that I try to do. But other than that, man, yeah, that's pretty much the education piece, learning from people.
Yeah. I think that's where you do the most learning from.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, can't believe you have this thing over here everywhere. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Shameless plug.
Shameless.
I don't even sell these things anymore.
They're on Amazon. So, yeah. So, I'm since you pulled it up, I was going to. It wasn't my plan to do it. That's why I had it here. But AJ Kehl, he wrote his own book, which I didn't learn about your chief induction thing. I saw it. I was like, oh, you got your own book? Like,
nice.
It was on there. It was on there, right?
Yeah, it was on the, Scon again.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It wasn't on my bio. He goes, hey, man. He's like, you can have your publication on your bio. I'm like, really? No shit? So I put it on there.
That's cool. So I bought it on Amazon, but living in Korea, it takes 2 to 3 weeks. I have Prime. Still takes 2 to 3 weeks to get here. And so I wanted to read it before he came on. I didn't get to since it didn't come. But today he came and brought me one. And Kiara Fraser, episode number 3. Got her
for
one
sure.
too. So yeah.
That book is, look.
Explain what's in this book, actually.
What's that?
Explain about the book.
Dude, that book, it's actually legit. And I'm not saying that because I wrote it, obviously, but I'm saying it because I feel, and I'll give Throwback another alley-oop here because Wolf Chief is pretty dope. He keeps it real, right?
Yes.
And that's what I pride myself on, right? And I was in military clothing one day and I'm like, let me get a book. Let me see what's up. And they had this book called The Airman's Guide. Have you seen it? It's blue and it's by this guy, Boone something. I don't know. So I'm like, oh shit, like Airman's Guide, right? I'm a young, maybe I had a line for tech, right? And I'm just trying to develop. And I'm reading it, man. It was boring as hell, man. Yeah. And I was like, okay, why isn't there like here's the real? You want to, like, if you want to promote, you want to just, want to learn like leadership traits. You want to succeed. What are the habits? What are the traits? How does all that work? And so I started writing it. I was like, man, I can write a more interesting book. I don't know about better, and it took me 3 years. It was the worst. I gave up on it probably like 30 times. I'm so lazy. But every time I was on leave, like I'd be on a cruise or something, and I'd have a couple, Long Islands or whatever.
Right? Start talking leadership.
I'd be like, oh, course 15 is a pain in the ass. Yeah. And then I'd be writing about how that was a fire ready aim type of scenario, right? And then, I'm on another leave, and then all of a sudden I'm like, man, how come people don't check their email if it's from their supervisor? You don't know the golden rule? And then I'd be writing about the golden rule. Or
what's the golden rule?
The golden rule is if they're in your chain of command, you need to put the rules in your Outlook to prioritize it to where they get the first dibs. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like it's the most obvious thing. And you'd be surprised how many people don't freaking reply to their own supervisor, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't have that problem now. But when I was a tech, like I had the problem, I'm like, guys, like, you know what I mean? Like if my boss writes me, like, rest assured, he's going to be the first one to get a freaking response, You'd
hope so. We have this rule where you have to check your email once a day before you leave. So hopefully everyone gets back to you, and sometimes they don't. And
they have to check it once a day?
Yeah, it's an unwritten rule, but it's a rule.
Yeah. In the book, actually, it talks about like with my time management strategy of like checking your email twice a day, once in the morning as you plan and you filter using like a system, and then once at the very end of the day, and trying to not check your email throughout the day because it takes away from what I like to call my make time. And it takes away from like getting after things that have impact. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you know how it is. Like you're doing something and then the email pops up. You're like, squirrel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, my old captain in Germany, Captain Cody Campbell, was saying that like he created this thing that was called like at work leave, where like once or twice a week or once every week or two, you just take a day where you close your door, you don't answer your phone, you don't answer any other emails, nice. You just do what you need to do.
What was it called? At work leave?
Yeah. So basically you're not there. Even if it's important, leave me alone. Like it's a leave essentially, but to catch up. And it was a really great idea because of that, like just the little distractions.
Oh dude, it's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. And that's in the book. And then also there's like a lot of like the innovation stuff. And then there's a chapter in there called awards, the biggest scam in the Air Force, right?
I would love it. You know what? With one of the awards you got, this sounds really good.
That's fair.
No, but I had that as something I wanted to talk about. So I do want to hear about your awards thing and start talking about it. I had another thing too you said, but this camera looks like I fucked with this wire, and I think I pulled it up, so it might be angled up like at the ceiling. I can't really tell, so I'm gonna check it. But yeah, just talk about these awards.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the camera. How's it looking? It's good to go, man. It's good to go. You didn't pull the wire.
Yeah, I did. It just maybe not hard enough.
Well, the thing about awards is crazy because, like, they're important, and it says that in there, right? It's like, hey, man, like I don't know what you want. Like they're important sometimes. You shouldn't chase awards or anything like that. They should come naturally. And I really believe like if you're a person of high character, and you're really just going to work like, hey, I'm gonna give my all to my teammates and to the organization, you're gonna be fine, right? Awards will come. I'm just simply saying that in this, I found, so when I was in innovation, one of my jobs was to capture time and money saved by the wing. Okay, this is at Spangdahlem, true story. And so I would capture it by like people would be doing something and, they they saved money and I kind of write down in a narrative like how that money was saved, blah, blah, blah. And then that all went to a big competition for USAFE called March Madness. Mm-hmm. Whatever wing saves the most money and time gets like 250 grand. Okay. So, or whatever it was. And towards quality of life stuff. And I was like, well, I want my wing to win. Right. So I'm doing it. And then, so I'm sitting on an MSG board and I'm boarding packages like awards. For those of you not in the Air Force, it's basically like we board award packages. And dude, like every other bullet was like, blah, 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 saved Air Force 10 mil. Blah, 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 blah. Saved Air Force 9 billion hours, right? I'm like,
saved
damn.
100 lives.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, first of all, this is awesome, right? So I'm like, I go to my Chief Jen Brenbaugh. I'm like, hey, I was like, Chief, I don't want to get in their Wheaties, but obviously this is important because if they say these kind of numbers, like I just want to know so I can capture it so we can win this competition. And great chief, by the way, Jen Brimbaugh. I hope you're watching. And she's like, yeah, you know, she always lets you fly, you know what I'm saying? Full autonomy. And she's like, yeah, go for it. Just, you know, don't go too far in the Wheaties, right? And here I am, I'm like this motivated. I think I had a line for master, dude, right? So I'm trying to talk to these senior NCOs and
is that Spangdahlem
and 15.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I'm like, not that long ago. And I'm like, so I go there, I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to get in your Wheaties, but can you run me through how $800 million was saved, right? Like, and we go through, dude, I'm telling you, bro, crickets on every single one. Could not explain, for the life of them, could not explain how they got to that number or even remotely close on money or time. And I just remember thinking like, dude, this is bullshit. Like, you can't be lying like this. You know what I'm saying? And just to keep it real, there's a lot of people that are lying. Mm-hmm. And they use like 7 steps of Kevin Bacon to get to their number, right? Like, blah, 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 save 10 mil. You're like, oh shit. And then you look into it and it's like, well, I let the dudes on the base, and if those contractors didn't go on the base, they couldn't have done the work. And if they couldn't have done the work, then the 10 mil wouldn't have been saved. And you're like, bro, so what? You signed somebody on base, you saved 10 mil? So yeah, that's why that chapter.
That's really good. And I'm excited to read stuff like that. That book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, was literally that. It was an idea, a thought that was interesting, and then like, here's a story behind it. So shit like that sounds really good. I'm excited to see it. And I'm going to try to read it so I can talk to you about it before I leave here. I'm going to try to push the book club to make it one of our books of the month.
Man, that's awesome, John.
Yeah, especially if you like participate, it would be cool like to like have the dude that wrote a book.
Dude, I'll be there. Because, you know, in the beginning, it talks about how, I think the first chapter was called, what is it? A Beginner's Guide to Wrecking Your Personal Life, right? And it was like how the military, and anyone in the military who's watching this or listening to this, they know. Yeah, I think it's like a beginner's guide to wrecking your personal life. They all know that like it's tough. Your relationships are tough in the military, bro.
Yeah,
you know, and civilians don't understand. Like, look at us right now. We're on a remote. Like, if we have people we love back home, like we're separated for a year, and so it's in there about just kind of like a little bit about my personal life. And then on the front, for those of you that follow Fired Up Chief Juan Lewis, who's awesome. He's a big motivational speaker. He was a command chief. He was a command chief at AETC. He's here on the front endorsing it. And then I got a couple chiefs on the back. Yeah. So, dude, it's awesome, man. And every book that I sold, we've sold like 3,000 copies. And every book that I've sold, I've given an airman like a free copy. So I haven't made any money. I don't, you know.
That's awesome.
I don't care.
And I'm not doing this because you said that, but who's ever made it to 32 minutes in, if you just hit me up and say you want this book, I'll buy you one.
Boom.
There you go.
They made it to 30. They've made it to 32 minutes.
Some people will, but I feel like a lot of people do reach out to me. And what's cool about this platform is people do reach out and like they'll identify something that either my guest or I said that I really wasn't thinking was that intellectual or important at the time. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I guess that was kind of interesting. And that's what's like another really cool thing about this is just the random shit we're just saying bullshitting while drinking whiskey is like really interesting to some people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. As you're talking, I always have like so many like roads. I'm like, oh, I want to ask you about this. One of the things you said there is you talk about how to get promoted is one thing in there, but you also talk about leadership traits. Just off the top of your head, what are like some of the most fundamental, quick grasp leadership traits someone can like just acknowledge and pick up, like names, like that one's mine. Learn someone's name, remember them. Yeah. What's something in there that's like big as far as leading? Yeah,
man. I have a lot of leadership traits in there. I think the most important is it actually comes from Ray Dalio, and he's a hedge fund manager for one of the largest hedge funds in the world. And in his book Principles, I don't know if you've seen it, but Principles, it's like a top seller, but it's something that it's even on my coin, and it says radical truth and radical transparency. And what that means is like I want to create an environment that is like an idea meritocracy, meaning the best idea wins. Right. And in order to do that, we got to keep it real, man. So radical truth, like even if it hurts, like truth is truth. Right. And a lot of people, have you noticed like a lot of people want the truth until you tell them the truth? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that young man or woman who like sucks at singing and their parents tell them they're freaking great like forever. And then they go on American Idol and the country boos them. It's like, that's not fair. Right. Radical truth, man. And then radical transparency. One of the things as I was coming up, I noticed is leaders were hoarding a lot of information, man. And they were hoarding information to leverage their own power, right? It was like they were hoarding information because they wanted to feel important because they had the information. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the biggest leadership trait is radical truth and radical transparency. So that way the best ideas can win, as well as like, I used to teach CGOs, like how to not be so risk adverse. Like you have to empower people to like take big time risks and fail forward, right? Like let them fail, dude. Like it's awesome. And if somebody fails, like have them do that same thing again, because out of everyone in your pool, I guarantee you they ain't going to screw it up again, right? Because they've already felt it, where other people are going to screw it up. So like, I don't know, I would say radical truth and radical transparency, man. That's like something I'm trying to really coin, no pun intended.
Yeah, I really like both of those. Just the withholding information part, Chief Woods. So before I brought him on here, like 2 weeks out, I was like, what's your favorite book? And he told me it was What Got You Here Won't Get You There. He said that's his favorite book. And that's one of the 20 rules you have to break is like, when you have information that could even maybe help someone, share it. Because so many people do that. They withhold information, which just hurts everybody.
It does.
And you don't really gain too much from it. You're just this asshole and people will find out. Yeah. So that was cool for you to say that.
Well, because the why was never answered back then. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like no one was that. No, it was shut up in color straight up. It was like there was no why. And I tell all my staff like, hey, like if you can't answer the why, bro, don't tell them to do it. Yeah. Like because if they're like, hey. And hopefully they do it in the right form, right? Like, hey, so I was just, why are we blah, 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 or what's the purpose here? Like, you have to answer that, bro. If you can't answer that, you're not leading. You're just freaking telling people what to do. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got to answer the why.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool.
That is really cool. Yeah. And the other thing you said that I thought was really interesting is the letting people fail side of it. In that Dale Carnegie book, my favorite book, read it once a year. There's that story. You've read it, right? Before I tell the story.
Well, which chapter?
How to Win Friends. It's like page 53.
Is it on the Smile? Guess. Is it on the just past the Smile chapter? You know, like when, like I think it's chapter 1 that's like Smile, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
For someone who reads it as often, I should know the chapters. I don't. I read through it and just smile. It's like, oh, look at all these things I'm starting.
I'll remember it when you tell me.
Okay, yeah. So it's like it's in the 50s. I'm 90% sure.
That's for sure.
In the pages of the 50s, but it's just a story about this guy, this very big, strong, tall pilot who's like departing after an air show, and then he departs and his plane crashes shortly after because some guy put the wrong fuel in there. And so this big, scary Colonel Viper, you know who Viper is? Colonel Savage?
Yeah.
That's who I like to imagine when I tell the story. This big 6'5" guy who's the strongest guy in the gym. You just don't want to fuck with him. He never really smiles, but he comes back to the base and this poor airman who or whoever, I don't know if he's an Air Force person, put the wrong fuel in the jet and that's what made it crash. And so this Viper, Colonel Savage, big, bulky guy comes up, puts his arm around him and says, listen, I know you made a mistake and I want you to fuel my jet tomorrow when I leave because I know you're not going to mess it up twice, right? And so like that's just like a perfect example of like when people make a mistake, you have two options. You can ridicule them, get pissed off at them, yell at them, or you can just forgive them and like let them grow and let them know that it's behind them.
I love that story, man.
I do too. It's highlighted. Well, I just gave that book to Giovanni, but yeah,
I love that story, man. That reminds me of we had an airman Wansley and he like screwed up the commander's call. He was like the MC, young airman. And he screwed it up. Like, what did he do? Oh, the command team was already standing in front of him. And he's like, everyone's standing there for like freaking 5 minutes. And he goes, and he's reading the script. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the official party. And they're like legit in front of him. And he's like, and he's just looking at him. And they're going, like, hey, bro. And so he screwed up. And then afterwards, people were giving him shit. And I was like, hey, man, dude, you're definitely the MC for the next one. And he was like, what? I screwed it up or whatever. It's like, no, dude, like you're definitely not going to on the next one. Like you've been there, you've been in the fire, you know what I mean? And without failure, dude, you're never, you can't perfect anything without failure, man.
That is such a good story. Cause that is a fear every airman has is they're going to get picked to be a speaker for some chain of command. Cause they don't want to do it and they're going to fuck it up. And that probably went, what was his name?
Wansley.
We probably shouldn't have said his name. I'm not going to edit it out. But like Wansley was, and I bet I kind of
he did a good job.
Yeah, he fucked it up, and he's probably really embarrassed. But then when he got that second chance and nailed it, he has like now known for his life. He can be embarrassed, fuck shit up, but he can overcome it.
Yeah, and that's something people need, right? Like people need to like fail, and that's something that I think like, you know, we have a lot of mental health is a huge issue right now. And I think a lot of it is because people aren't like losing. Like you have to lose, bro. Like if you play a baseball game and you give all these trophies to the winners and the losers, it's like, dude, you didn't lose. Like you need to feel like when you're young, like, damn, they're better than us.
Yeah.
Like this sucks. You need to feel that feeling so you can get back on your horse and keep going and then win.
Yep.
But if you don't fail your whole life and then you come into boot camp and then that's the first time you're told you suck, it's a shock. And I think that's one of the resiliency issues we have.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. I have so many like ideas on why sports are important. I'm not insulting my father, but my father hates sports. He hated he didn't like that I played him growing up. It was like he would take me sometimes, but it was usually my responsibility to get there myself and get home afterwards. He just wasn't a fan of sports. He's a farmer. It makes sense. It wasn't a thing when he was a kid. He didn't have that opportunity, but I loved sports. And so I always, now that was like how I grew up, I try to think like, why was sports so important to me and why should it stay being important? And it's things like that, like learning to lose, learning like no matter how much effort I put into something, how much I trained, how much my team trained. In that moment, it's like masculinity versus masculinity or women versus women, like full force, and only one person is going to win. And it's like, how much time did you put in? How important was this to you?
Yeah.
How much were you willing to work with your team to be better than those other people? And that's why I love it. Like there's some satisfaction when you do that and you win. Yeah. And there's this complete feeling of failure, like when it goes the other way.
Dude, that's so true. I lost that. I was never really put in for awards until I was maybe a staff sergeant. And like, I straight up lost, dude, at least 20 in a row. Right. Just like, and I lost.
you put yourself in every award and lost.
So true. Like when I won the big award in 2019, it was, 18, I won a big award, but prior to that, so you figure I got an 03, so 15 years in, I had never won, not even a quarterly award outside the squadron, ever.
You went from never having a quarterly outside CE,
yes,
to the one of the top 12 awards of the year.
Yes,
that's crazy.
And that's that's why I hope that encourages people that like, dude, I sucked. Like I was told that I was submitted for and I failed. Hey, you were submitted and you lost. Hey, you were submitted and you lost, right? For like 15 years, man. And then failure. And then it was the innovation stuff. I won a big innovation award. And then it was like when that happened,
Spark Tank?
It was like the Air Force has a innovation award for like, it's called the General Spencer Award for Innovation. And it's presented at AFA by the Chief Master of the Air Force and the Chief of Staff. And I had won that because of the efforts by my team in USAFE. When I won that was the catalyst. Because then the next year I won like the big award in my AFSC, in fire. I won the big DOD award. And then that's what led to 12 Outstanding Airmen. But like, so that little span is great, awesome. But dude, I failed like a million times prior to that. Like never had I ever won even a squadron quarterly ever. And so that's why I try to tell people, it's like when we submit you, right? Like, so let's say I submit my junior non-commissioned officer, boom, doing great things. And then they lose at the squadron. It's like, bro, that's okay, right? That's okay, man. First of all, awards, yes, you need them on your EPR, but like, that's okay, man. Because you just got to keep going. Because at the end of the day, like eventually all you need is one thing. It's like if you and I were starting businesses, you and I could fail at 30 businesses. But if one business does well, we're good, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? You only need one.
Yeah, especially in your case. It's such a prime example. And he hasn't said what it is, but 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year was the award he won. Only 12 people get it. And is it broken down by rank, like 2 airmen get it? Is it? I don't know if it's just... Yeah.
So get this. I shit you not. Remember my buddy Scon I told you about? Mm-hmm. He was a finalist too, right?
Oh, I thought
and
we
were a finalist
right now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
And dude, we were finalists in the same MAGCOM too. And so I don't know how that works. Like I really don't. When I won the annual at the squadron, I was like, shit, I never won an annual at the squadron, right?
It's a big deal.
And then I won at the group.
And I was going. You were just content at winning just the next level.
And I shit you not, this is a true story. Alexa and I had just started dating, okay? And she knows nothing. This girl, she was the so here's my shameless plug for Alexa.
Are you bringing her to the White House?
So I brought her to the White House. I did bring her there. I did bring her there.
Keep telling your story.
So she was the dietitian for the UFC, Ultimate Fighting.
Oh, shit. Yep.
Yeah, she was their dietitian. So that's how I meet her. She's the UFC dietitian, has nothing to do with the military. I mean, bro, she's never even like been involved. And the fourth date is at the Wing Annual Awards. I'm like, hey, do you want to go with me to the Wing Annual Awards? I'm up for this thing.
Walk under some swords. It'll be romantic as fuck.
Bro, we fucking, we like walk under the sword. She's like, is this what the military's like? I'm like, not really, right? I'm like, I've never been in this position, so I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on. And then they're like, and the winner for the senior NCO of the year, blah, blah, and they say my name, and I'm like, and I'm trying to play it off. I'm trying to like play it off like, yeah, no big deal, And she's like, what the hell? And then I win that, and then all of a sudden I found out that I won like the numbered and the MatchCom, and I'm like trying to explain to her what MatchCom was. And then when I found out I won 12 outstanding, I'm like, yeah, so like we're going to DC. And she's like, oh, thinking like this is probably normal.
Everyone goes to DC.
We're in DC with like chief of staff and chief, right? And I'm like, listen, hey, we're having a great night. It was, dude, it's humbling to even think about like how freaking fantastic that whole thing was. It was what a ride. But I'm like, babe, this is not the Air Force. Like, this is not the Air Force. This is, and I reminded her, I was like, this will never happen again, right?
This is the climax.
This is it. Like, and so after it was all done, I tried to explain to her, I'm like, babe, I don't think you get it. Like, I'll never win an award again. Like, it's over, right? Like, everything's over. I hope you had fun. This is what's real, right? Yeah, so her very first experience was the 12 OAY ride.
That is a cool.
It was insane.
Experience. Like, good luck matching that.
I can't. I suck. Like, I can't. Yeah.
You know what sucks is that she couldn't be here for your chief thing. That would have been fucking cool.
She was. So it was like, damn girl, I'm telling you, she's gonna watch this obviously, and I'm giving her mad shout outs right now. Like, she, I will give her love on this though. It was like 2:30 in the morning back in the States, and she was on. So my little brother, this is where I do want my little brother David. He's a staff sergeant in Osan, and he's a firefighter as well. And he's a staff sergeant. He came down to make the trip.
That's
awesome.
And
I had her on FaceTime. She was like, nah, I'm waking up. It was 2:30 in the morning. She woke up for the chief recognition ceremony here at Kunsan. And he held the phone like while I was up there or whatever. And so I had like my brother, I had my family. So we made the very most of it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For being out here. It sucks. Yeah, that they couldn't be there. That's really cool that David's out here.
Dude.
Is he going to Dover next?
No, he's going. This lucky guy's going to Okinawa, man. Oh. Yeah, old stomping grounds. He's a good young firefighter. He's been in I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years, and just kicking ass in Osan. But it's good to have him here. Hopefully, we'll get a few more trips then.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Can you believe we have family? Like, when you have family, you got to take advantage of it.
Oh yeah, that is crazy that you're both just here, firefighters in Korea together at the same time.
We were at Nellis together.
Oh shit!
I swear to God, I was like
you were his boss, or like
technically, but I stayed out of the EPR chain, right?
That's fair.
But we were in the same department, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, we had two twins. Or not, they weren't twins. They were brothers show up to Offutt, my first base together. And it was like really cool to see like two brothers that's just like they were so happy to have each other.
They were at the same base?
Yep. And they got there the same day, like the buddy system kind of thing, and they ended up there.
Was it on purpose or was it random?
So they did the buddy system, which only gets you to tech school at the same time, and then whatever base you get.
Really?
But one of them traded. He had like Travis, a really good base, and he traded to come to Offutt to be with his brother.
That's cool.
It was cool. It was cool to have both of them there.
That's Nebraska, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'd love to go back.
You were at Offutt too?
That was my first base, yeah.
And you liked it?
I loved it.
No way, really?
Yeah. So I wanted to go there because when I got it in tech school, this made me sound like a bad person. There's 2 all-girl colleges there from my Google search in 2009. I was like, oh, I got to get there.
Yeah, all-girl colleges, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm sold. And so I traded with Kayla Bailey. And yeah, and now I'm here. And I like reflecting on those decisions because it was just kind of like a Google search. And like that changed the entire course of my life. Everyone I know, like from that point forward. Nice. I like thinking about like how these little decisions are just like this podcast and someone getting this book. Like just little things left and right change your entire life. And that shit is crazy.
I love that. Speaking of the podcast, I love that you did this, man. And like when I came in today, I was like, dude, you really went all in, man. And I'm really proud of you for that because we talked about this at a barbecue about a few weeks ago, a month. That was before I went on Med Tour?
Yeah.
Or after? It was before.
I think so.
oh crap. So yeah. And you're like, yeah, man, I know you did a podcast and I want to do podcasts. I'm like, dude, you should just go for it. And dude, you went like all in.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And you were mentioning earlier, like that the folks at your unit are just like, yeah, one thing about you is if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do something.
Yeah, that's true.
I love it, man. It's awesome.
That.
And I love the title. It's super cool. And you already have 4 guests now?
Yeah, you are number 5.
Number 5.
Hopefully
we'll get some views. Otherwise, hey, you know what? I don't even care if we get views because we're drinking whiskey and we're talking.
And that's what I like. It sounds like something generic for me to say, but I like this more just to like, it creates an atmosphere where we're going to talk about leadership. I'm going to get the best experiences of your life consolidated in around 2 hours, and I'm going to learn from that. All these things you're saying, the concepts in your book that I'm excited to hear.
Thanks.
Just 18-year chief is a very fucking rare thing, and you're so humble about it. You don't talk about it. Like all that award, you probably wouldn't even brought up on this podcast unless I brought it up.
No, it's all luck anyway. Like we know that preparation and opportunity, right, is luck. But dude, look, if you're, and this is for all the chiefs, and I guess I could say this now that I made chief, but like, this is the truth. If you're a chief, like, bro, yes, you were obviously performing. I get that, right? That's without saying. But dude, timing, who you work for, where you work for them, when you work for them, like, there's a lot of luck that happens too, right? I mean, yes, you're given opportunities and you have to excel at those opportunities, but I'm no better than, dude, a gigantic handful of people I know. Like when I found out I made chief, and I made chief over people that are mentors of mine. And
that is difficult to like accept that. It's
very difficult,
how
bro.
Can I be this guy's boss when I look up to him?
Yes. And when I say look up to him, I'm talking like, dude, like I know people in my industry that are way better than me at being organized, knowing our game, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I take pride in trying to know our game. I really do. But like, I know guys that are way better than me, like a lot of guys, and they didn't make it. And it's because like, dude, sometimes you're at the right place at the right time. Like, and for me, the innovation thing was a huge deal. The 12-way obviously, right? Obviously helped. But it doesn't make you any better, dude. And like, there's no way a chief out there can say that like they're better than it's freaking timing, dude. And it's like, it's hard. Like I'll talk to people who like when chief results came out and they're like, hey bro, hey, you make it. Have you heard anything? And it's like, I already like, you're just like, shit, right? When the list comes out and then, you're talking to your friends that didn't make it. And then you leapfrogged them and they were your mentors when you were like a tech or a master. Right. And you're just like it's hard, bro. It's not, you have to remain humble in the sense that like, we have to understand that our positions are only one piece of our power, right? You have the legitimate power, you're based off your position, mm-hmm. but nothing is more than the referent power, right? Like the power of like, do you influence people as human beings? You know what I mean? Like rank has nothing to do with shit, man. Like rank's just something we put on, but it truly doesn't mean anything, bro. It doesn't mean anything.
To an extent, there's 5 powers, right? I know that's where you're getting at. Legitimate power is one of those.
Yeah,
It's a thing, especially in the military.
It's a thing.
Yeah, you can't not listen to it.
Right. So, but the hierarchy is crazy because we have this modular hierarchy that we're all aware of, but we can also flatten it too in a lot of ways. And that's what I talked about earlier with that. Like best idea should win. And at least in the fire department, I hope they feel that way. Like, that the best idea does win, bro. Like, it doesn't matter where it comes from. Like, oh, hey, Airman so-and-so was thinking blah, blah, blah. And everyone should be able to be like, oh, shit, that's a pretty good idea. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, like, you don't look at somebody like, hey, what was your idea? How many stripes you got, bro? 1, 2, 3. That's a bad idea, bro.
So you say that, but there's people that do that. Like, sure, we shouldn't do it that way. We should use like, my idea power is referent power.
Sure.
Some people respond to cohesive power. Some people
will
listen to you because you're a chief select. Like, people do that, and it's shitty, but, like, it helps. Like there's different powers and they all have their own influences in their own ways.
It does, man. And it's crazy too. Cause when you make chief and we go through the orientation thing, one of the things that like 7th Air Force chief and them were saying like, it's like, hey bro, your jokes are going to be funny now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but don't confuse that, right? Like your jokes gonna be funny. That doesn't mean they're funny though. Yeah. It just means that they're funny because they're looking at your rank. It's like, who are you as a person? And so hopefully my character shines through. But John, I tell you, bro, you could be the sweetest peach in the world and somebody's not going to like peaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't let, I know I have haters, like, and that's a whole nother subject, right? As haters. Like Cat Williams said it best. He's like, hey man, haters are haters, right? Like that's their job. Don't discourage them. Like it's all good. And I recently had a guy, and I'm not really used to this. And I had a guy I found out that was talking shit, right? About me, making Chief, for instance. And like,
I'm not going to say his name, but senior NCO, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fucking hurts.
And it hurts, bro. And he was a friend of mine, or at least right. And so, dude, it hurt, man. I'm hearing this from one of my best friends too, that was stationed with them. And I'm like, man, I hit up Alexa. I hit up my, one of my mentors, Kevin Smith. I'm going to send you this link. Kevin Smith, I hit him up and I'm like, dude, like this is what happened. And I'm like, this shit hurts my heart. Like, because like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I'm used to people in my corner. At least I hope. And, dude, I didn't know what to do, bro. But you know what I did, man? I hit him up and I said, hey man, straight up. I was like, hey man, this is what I'm hearing. And this sucks. Like, but I confronted it and he was like, dude, I don't know where the conversation happened, but I'm really sorry and blah, blah, blah. And take it on its face value. But at the end of the day, like I have to realize that when you see success, like you're going to have people that don't think you're genuine. You're going to have people that don't think you're a man of high moral character. It's going to happen, bro. And all you can do is just keep going and try to take care of people and have deep, meaningful relationships and hope that it doesn't happen. But dude, it hurt, right? Especially as a friend, like because he didn't make Chief. Yeah. And hopefully he's not watching this, but and man, that shit was real though. So I have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah. See, again, that's why I love this podcast is because you sharing that story that is really deep and it's a thing that exists, but we never really talk about it because I'm the Air Power Leadership Academy director here.
Dude.
Right. And someone approached me the other day and they said, I know you're only doing that for a bullet. And it was just like, man, like
that hurt.
Yeah, it does. Like I did. And I know, he's probably not the only one that thinks that. And the shit hurts. Like I enjoy talking about concepts to make people better, to make you be able to influence people. I really enjoy that stuff. And when he said that, it's like, I wonder how many other people think that. Like that I'm just doing that. And it's so easy to say to like, just don't let other people's opinions affect you. But it does.
It does. We're humans.
Yeah.
Like rank has nothing to do with it, right?
You just made this rank that almost everyone that joins the Air Force considers. And like he said this whatever in that moment he said that thing and it like takes away from you. Like that makes me mad. Yeah. That like that's a big fucking deal for you and he made you feel made it a little less significant for you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just fucked up that people do that. And I know it's natural. I know it's human nature to talk bad about someone when you're jealous or angry.
Jealousy, bro. I learned my lesson when I was a young airman. My buddy Alston Calderon, man, he was my roommate too, which made it even weirder, I guess.
Yeah.
So we were down in Spain at the time. The space shuttle would launch from Florida, and like there were certain sites in Spain that the fire department would have to go to in case the space shuttle had to like abort or some shit, right? They were called TAL missions, alternate landing sites or whatever the hell.
TAL.
Yeah, TAL. I don't know.
Alternate landing site. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
ALS. We'll go with that.
TAL. I don't know. Maybe it's the whiskey. But there was like Zaragoza and Marone. Anyway, my buddy Austin won a quarterly award, okay? And thanks so much, bro. And like he wins this quarterly award. And remember, mind you, he's my friend. And I was a little pissed because I was like doing good shit too. And I was like, I screwed up, man. I'm 19 years old. I'm 20. I guess I'm 20 years old. And I was like, dude, how? And I'm talking to him. I'm like, how'd you win, man? I was like doing blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't get this, blah, blah, blah. And dude, he was like, dude, F you, you know? He's like, how can you be like, and I was jealous, man. And that's when I learned my lesson. And I came back around, and we're straight. But I apologized. And I was like, I don't understand what was going on in my head. It was weird. You know how the Air Force system does you dirty, right? Like, it's like, it makes you competitive when you shouldn't. We should complete, not compete.
Yeah.
But we don't. And that's when I learned my lesson. And since then, I have never. I don't think I have. I don't think I've been that way again, because I remembered how much it hurt him as a friend. It's like, I'm going to lose a friend over a quarterly award. Get out of here. You know what I mean? So that's when I learned my lesson, 2006.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a lesson that everyone has to go through to experience. Because I've been the same girl, Christina Diaz. She was smarter than me. She was better than me. And she got BTZ over me. And I just remember thinking, like, what? I just couldn't accept it. But like now that I'm older, I'm like, yeah, she was doing a lot of shit that was right, you know? And I should probably reach out to her and be like, hey, I know I said some fucked up shit to you when you got BTZ over me, but you deserved it.
And Austin might have been better. She might have been better. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But like, you know how it is. It's so subjective. Like the people that are grading the packages, like whatever they're looking for is what they're looking for. It's not worth losing a friendship is the point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so stupid to think that because you didn't get this recognition that
it's so stupid, especially in hindsight. As us, like older, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But at the time, you think it's important. And it's not as important as your friendship, man.
And I think about that not just with Air Force Awards, but so many other life aspects of like relationships, like what was important to me at that time. Why did I like not just say sorry in this little moment that made it a bigger deal?
Damn.
It's important to like, just reflect on like, I think that's how I'm getting better is I'm just realizing all my mistakes. Like you were saying earlier.
I agree with you,
you grow from it.
Dude, that's so true, man. Yeah, I definitely learned from that moment there. And then, just remaining humble, man. And like the best way I can, because it's tough. Like when you make chief early and the expectations are high, right? You have to like remind people. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to figure it out too. I'm the fire chief here. This is my first fire chief gig, man. Like,
what were you doing at Nellis?
Fuck do I know? I was the deputy fire chief.
Okay.
But the thing is I literally I was an assistant. Well, I've been an assistant fire chief for a few things, but I was the assistant fire chief of ops, which is like our main bread and butter, for like a year. And then I was a deputy fire chief for like 2 years. And then now I'm a fire chief. So it's like a 4-year span. And in the fire service, that's kind of fast. And so like, I'm not lost on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And so I put that out there into the universe. Like, hey guys, I'm going to screw up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot to learn. Yes, I may be in this position, but that doesn't, like, people look at positions and they think, oh, they know it all. It's like, hell no, bro. Hell no.
So when I went, I'm as a top 3 member, I went, that guy that won Levito, Sergeant Karasowicz.
Yeah, Karasowicz, my dude, Airman K, Sergeant K now.
Sergeant K now.
The guy's like a freaking fast burner now. The guy's freaking sergeant now.
And he's a Levito. Yeah, like
Levito.
So here's what I liked is I went there just for a top 3 presentation for him, Senior Airman K at the time. His package had Senior Airman K on it.
You talking about when you went to the firehouse?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Which
I
was
remember
like
that.
my second or third time going there.
I remember that.
You love finding recognition for your
I
guys.
remember that.
It's cool to see your packages. Hopefully I can remember to talk about this later. Why do you always write packages for people with something that I think is like a concept many senior leaders don't do, and I want to know why you keep doing it. But to stay on this topic is, so we were there to recognize the Levito winner, Senior Airman K, for winning a whole different award of just being the best in the top 3, Kunsan top 3 eyes, best airman of that month.
Yeah, MVP,
December.
right?
Yep, most valuable
player.
I should know
professional.
This, yeah, professional. Thank you for knowing that, and I don't. So I went there. We went there to nominate. There was like 8 senior NCOs or so. It was my second time there, and like again, when I got there, something I loved is you said, "Hey, what's up, John?" We don't talk much. I'm like, man, a guy knows my name. That's cool. Like it's such a weird, simple thing that I just wish everyone would learn people's names. So we're there, and we're presenting now Staff Sergeant K with this award. And before I get to like present this award to him and let you speak on him, you pull up this random airman. I forget his name. He was an A1C, I think. And you let him wear your fire chief patch for a day. Yeah. And he got to like brief people on what he learned, I guess, as being fire chief for a day. And so it was really cool for me. Like, again, I love organizations because of moments like this. I was standing there and I saw you. You were, I don't know if you were chief select at the time or not. Were you? Like end of January? I don't know when that list came out.
Yes, I was. We found out in November.
Okay. Oh, so yeah, you were definitely, because this was the December MVP. So chief select, so chief select, let this guy be the fire chief. An A1C be the fire chief for a day. You gave him your patch. You didn't even have it on.
Yeah.
And like, so he had to like nervously brief his group of 30 buddies, coworkers,
Yeah.
like what he learned as fire chief for a day. And for me, it was so cool because as air traffic controller, we have chief controller, assistant chief controller, which is my new job, and then watch supervisor, who's in charge of air traffic operations in that moment. And I have never thought, like, when one of these airmen are just being assholes or need to learn, like, why don't I just make this motherfucker my job for a day and see what he does? And to see, like, you did that and then made him talk about it, I was like, what a fucking great idea. And you could just tell he was, like, humbled, like, I'm sorry that I don't ever know anything. And it was just such a cool idea. And I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely, like, in my journal. Like, I journal, and it's in there. Like, man, I went to present this award, but Staff Sergeant K is a Levito winner, which is cool. But this was more interesting, and I wrote about it. It's in my book. I can show you when we're done here. But like, what made you come up with that idea? Like, let this A1C, probably his first base, maybe second base, be the damn fire chief for a day.
Yeah, it's super cool, right?
It is. That's a simple concept.
It's super cool, and it ain't mine. It's Shantan Russell, who just made chief as well. He was the fire chief here 2 chiefs ago. So prior to me was Senior Master Sergeant, now Chief Master Sergeant Select Walls. And then prior to that was Shantan Russell. It was Shantan Russell's program. And he created a program called Fire Chief for a Day. And all I did was honestly just try to move that ball forward, right? I was briefed about it when I got here. I was briefed, hey, Shantan created this thing. I did it once by Walls and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, damn, I like that, right? So all I did was take his idea. And we've done it twice now since I've been here. And yeah, it's cool. So basically, we have our badge, our fire badge, and it has bugles. And like your firefighter has like 1 bugle. And then by the time you become an assistant chief, you get 3 bugles. A deputy chief gets 4 bugles, and a fire chief gets 5 bugles. So I gave him my 5 bugle badge, right? And for that whole day, he's the fire chief. And so he has to sit in he or she, it depends, right? He has he goes to my meetings, and I even sit his ass in my desk and have him check my emails, and I'll sit behind him and I'll say, hey, this goes there, here, this is what you do here, this is what you need to tell them. And the point of it is hopefully by the end of the day, he or she can go back to their peer group and help answer the why. Because I can answer the why all I want as the leader in the organization, but I need champions at the lower levels. And so if they see all the shit that happens behind the curtain, then maybe when people are like, hey, why the hell are we doing this? I'm like, actually, let me tell you, I fielded a few emails on this.
I sure did this job for a
Let
day.
me tell you why we're doing this. And so I'm hoping that he or she can answer the why. That was the whole point, is like, hey, talk to your peers, man. Like, this is different. Because when I was young, I used to think like, man, that tech sergeant doesn't do shit, right? That master sergeant ain't doing nothing. What's the fire chief do? What's he even do, right? And so giving them that glimpse and literally sitting in my seat at squadron or group or wing meetings, sitting in my seat, checking my email, going through the motions, my staff meeting that I host at the flight, going through that to where they see the holistic view of like, oh, damn, there's training and there's fire prevention and there's logistics and, there's emergency communications.
Manning.
There's a lot of happening, right?
So
yeah, manning.
shit,
Like, hey, Airman, that time it was Airman Chapin. And be like, hey, Airman Chapin, we're submitting,
Chapin?
Submitting an MCR to Manpower. What? Right? And then,
Airman.
hey, we got a meeting with Manpower at 1300. Okay. And, they're writing it down. And then we go to Manpower and they start explaining how that works. And they're going, the hell is going on, right? And so hopefully they can explain, oh, hey, our leadership is not only doing things, but that they care about us, they understand our hurt, and that they're getting after it. And that's what I'm trying to do.
It's such a great idea, and I'm going to steal it from you. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, like, it's just such a good idea to make someone do my fucking job for a day, because I get those jokes like, oh, are you going to leave at 2 today? It's like, no, bitch, I'm going to a meeting for 3 hours that I don't want to go to, and I'm not going to sleep tonight because this airman has a problem, and I didn't get to think about it. I haven't done my own decoration.
That's true.
I leave
Hats
in
off
30
to
days. It's like, dude, you asshole.
Hats off to all first sergeants.
Yeah.
I mean, the first sergeants, bro. Like, I remember when they were trying to get rid of first sergeants or something. They were thinking about it. Like, dude, first sergeants, bro. These guys aren't sleeping. These guys are getting calls at midnight, bro.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
I'm a big fan of my current first sergeant, so yeah, I could imagine that.
Me too. Shout out Sumner. I got you, man.
I know Sumner.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah,
McDonald.
He was actually ALA with me last class, and he
you?
came into the air.
I didn't know. So the ALA thing, I didn't know that you were like the the guy for that.
So Gene Tashida he created it.
He handed it off.
And then he gave it to me, and then I'm giving it to Michael Thompson.
Well, Gene, first of all, Gene.
And Mark Drevlin.
Gene, what a guy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Gene and I have been friends for a while. Very, very genuine guy, man.
Ellis is where you met him?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I love Gene. I mean, Gene and I got probably closer here. He's just a loving guy. He creates an environment. He creates a culture down at EOD where people feel comfortable. You know what I mean? And so Gene's an awesome dude. But the ALA thing, I just sat with one of your people today.
Yeah.
Tech Sergeant Branch.
Okay. Cherie Branch. Oh, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Cherie and I sat down and we had a great discussion, man. She's phenomenal. We had a great discussion about, everything, right? From leadership philosophy through diversity, through, challenges in your career. And her and I sat there for an hour and a half at the CAC, the Community Activity Center. And, she's phenomenal. And then I got the opportunity to coin her too at the end. And she seemed to really like that. So she got our limited edition fire coin, bro.
That is awesome. And this is going to get posted before this event happens, but tomorrow is Leveraging Diversity Day for ALA. And the week after that is each one of those students are going to talk about their leadership philosophy and their conversation with their chief.
Oh, cool.
And I'm making my Chief Clark, he's coming tomorrow because the student is PCSing and this is her last class. But I'm going to talk to Cherie, and if she's cool with you sitting in, I think that'd be kind of cool for you to sit in on the ALA class just to see what someone says about you, more for your growth than anyone else's. But I could see maybe she'd be uncomfortable.
She's he was one goofy ass dude.
Yeah, if she, so when I some of the students are I'll be honest, I was ALA. I'm not gonna say who my chief was. I was an ALA student, OSAN 2017. And I couldn't, when I was talking to my chief, I couldn't understand how this guy made chief. I just wasn't a fan. He didn't let me talk. He just talked about his awards, his success, how he just didn't let me talk. And then he kind of was like, oh, I got to do things now. Are we good? And I just remember thinking this sucked. This guy sucked. Mm-hmm. And I was man, I don't know if I ever I didn't I had kind of sour taste towards it because the guy just kind of rushed me out and talked about himself. But yeah, I bet you weren't the same. I could imagine. If you're interested in going, let me ask Cherie, so she's not, in case she wants to talk shit about you. Right. She's actually a subscriber to Have a Tisue podcast.
Oh, is she really?
She is.
Cool.
Yeah, she talks to me
she's super cool. And, she has a great story too. I won't get into her personal life, but what a great story of, she, like me, I joined right away out of high school, so I don't know any better. Whereas she's had real life experience, you know what I mean? So she brings wisdom into her career, doing one job and then, serving and saying, hey, wait, this may not be for me, because she was where Cherie was really smart is she was thinking about her mind and body long-term and what she was doing in her previously in the Air Force. And that's why she got into education and training now, is because she was like, damn, I don't, this is what I see 5-10 years from now, and I don't like it. So she changed tracks and retrained into education and training. And now she feels like she's in a completely different culture, man, and a completely different environment that she just loves and she can thrive in. And so she's going to do big things, man. She's a 7-year freaking tech, man. That girl, she's on fire.
Yeah, I can't disagree. She's one of my favorite students, and I don't think we're supposed to have favorites, but she just says some wise shit, and she doesn't talk unless it's important.
And she keeps it real, which I like.
Yeah, actually, I have a thing called Have a Tisue podcast trailer on YouTube, which has my most views. And when I'm talking to Kiara Frazier, I just took a highlight from Gene Tashida, Chief Woods, and Frazier. And the story I'm talking about with Frazier is a thing Cherie Branch said 2 days prior to my podcast with Frazier. And I just repeated her story, and it was just so interesting. It was just about resiliency training and how I don't want to read. I'm going to retell the story because it'll take 10 seconds, and I want to hear your reaction. But basically, Cherie was saying that resiliency training is you're being abused. And so you're being abused and you hate it, and people are telling you to get counseling and you don't want to do it. And then finally you go and get counseling because it's resiliency day and you have to. So you go to counseling, and then your damn counselor walks through the door smiling, and it's your abuser. You just have to sit there and listen to your abuser counsel you on how to deal with it. And Cherie told that, oh, fuck. I don't know if she wants me to know. I'm going to have to edit this out. I'll ask her. But basically, she shared that story, and it was just one of my favorite stories. It was my favorite story of that day. It might be my top story of that.
Yeah, she sees things from a unique point of view,
Yep.
which I love. You know, we talked a lot about diversity and inclusion and the difference, right? You know, like, because she asked me, I think one of her questions was, you know, how much do you value diversity, or how do you? I don't know exactly how it was framed, but, and you know, I went along the lines as like, you know, I appreciate diversity, but I value inclusion more, because like, we're in the Air Force, we're very lucky. We have a diverse workforce, and it's naturally occurring. We do, right? For the most part. I mean, besides maybe the pilots, right? But we have a diverse, like for me, I have a diverse workforce. So for me, I don't value diversity as much as I value inclusion, right? Like I value, like, does everyone understand that they have, that their ideas are taken seriously? Does everyone understand that this is about, you know, making everyone feel important? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like I think it's a big difference, you know? Yeah. And so her and I had a long conversation about it, and she has just such great points of view. Damn, Branch, you're getting all kinds of love right now.
Yeah, I gave her my Have a Tisue podcast patch, because you know jerseys are a thing here. You're gonna
Wait, you got a patch?
I do.
Dude, do I get a patch?
You get a Velcro, and you get a jersey one if you have a jersey.
Bro,
you get both.
I appreciate that.
No,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like
what the hell?
It's free advertising for me. It's like $2 for me.
Now I'm glad I gave you 2 books. Shit.
Yeah, I deserve this.
Yes.
Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it.
That's all. I got nothing on my board.
Oh, I mean, I got a bunch of things on my board. It was very interesting where I was.
He's got a board.
Oh yeah, you got to be prepared.
No,
it's
you
this
are.
Thing,
man.
hold on. So this guy, Colonel Clark, he might be a General Select, told me you got to write little notes. That's right. So when you're approaching someone, you know what to say.
I like it. Fair.
Yeah. Oh, and I got a lot of things I could ask you. Let me see. Before I look at that, so it's interesting that you said that your 12 Outstanding Airman of the Year award was a lot of luck, or like a lot of your being a chief at fucking 18 years is luck. Really interesting to say. And this was something I was like, when I wrote it down to ask you about it, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't ask this because it might be insulting. But one of my favorite books is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
Outliers, yeah.
You read it or heard it?
I have read it.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that book is great. It talks about why most NHL players, like I think it's like 60%, I could be wrong, 60% of NHL players are born between January and March, and then it explains why. It explains why Asian people are better at math, and there are like legit reasons on why all these things are happening. It explains why Bill Gates was as successful as he was. It's a great book. But it gets the bottom line of the book is that a lot of people's success is sure they're driven and they work hard, but it's just luck by being put in particular moments at particular times.
Yeah.
And so how much do you feel like a lot of your Air Force success is just luck and not so much your drive?
I don't know. You know, I would say, I guess half and half. Like there were two profound moments in my life. And one of them being my ex, you know,
Ex-wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were making dinner, man, and we were cleaning up from dinner. And I asked her if I said, babe, do you think I could ever be a chief? And she said, no.
Oh.
And it was mainly because like I got in trouble for having earrings on. On base. So I think she was like, you just had earrings on. Like, you're a dumbass, you know? But I think more than that, you know, I was like, what? Right? Because I felt that I had something inside of me that could do well. I felt, yeah. And now I have some street cred, but I felt that there was something. I felt like I had something. So I say that, yeah, there is a piece. I think all of us know whether or not we have something to offer this world. So maybe half of it is drive, passion, my energy, performance, right? Whatever. But I would say I'd say the other half is luck, right? Because I was at a coffee shop in Spangdahlem. I had just taken the Green Belt course, which is the AFSO 21 course.
For the continuous process innovation.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. And Colonel Hernandez, Drysdale Hernandez at the time, which was crazy because I just talked to him last night for the first time in like 5 years. But
that's crazy.
He stops me in the coffee shop. He goes, "Hey, AJ," and I like you. I'm like, "Hey, he knows my name, right?"
Yeah, I can relate to that.
He goes, "Hey, AJ." He goes, "Hey, man, Marty, who was the innovation guy at the time at Spangdahlem, he goes, hey, Marty's got to go home. He's got an emergency thing happening. He's leaving. We're looking for a replacement for the innovation transformation office. What do you think? I'm like, oh shit. Like, right. I'm just having coffee.
So you just went home that night instead of went to get coffee.
That's right. Exactly. See what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes, hey, Marty says that you really enjoyed the course and that you had a lot of questions and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, it was awesome. Let me talk to my chief. And I went and talked to Chief Tim Randolph. And I said, hey, this is what's going on. And man, look, Chief Randolph could have said, he's the IMSC chief now. He said, he could have easily said, like, no, bro, like, I need you in the fire department. You know what I mean? Like, I got manpower constraints. And but instead he's like, go for it. Right. And so I called Colonel Hernandez back and I said, hey, my chief said it's okay, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, I'm doing innovation. And see, it's like, that's luck, right? Because I'm in that position. Now, yeah, you have to do something with that opportunity, but the whole thing was luck. Like, when I look back, I don't even know how I got in the green belt class in the first place, let alone, Yeah. And so I'm a big believer that, like, if you're put into any position, you have no idea the dividends that will pay later. You just don't know. So you have to be a grand optimist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta enjoy things. You gotta be lighthearted. You gotta have fun. You gotta engage, because you just don't know where it's gonna lead. You don't know where it's gonna lead, bro. You just don't know. And so I would say, yeah, that was luck, man. And because, like, with that, we did a lot of great things, and it led to that gigantic Air Force level award. That Air Force level award was on the package for the fire award. And then those were on the package for the 12 outstanding airmen, and then it's crazy. And one of the things that this is important to me, John, like everyone talks about strats. And for anyone who watches this, if you're a senior NCO, you already know the strat game, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's a bullshit ass game, right? In a lot of ways, but it also has some validity. Like, this is really important because I won't mention names on this one, but like, I made chief, I did not have a strat. And not a lot of people even know that. I did not have a strat, man. I didn't even have one. And to think I didn't have a strat, like, most people were like,
20% of chiefs get a strat from their wing, right?
Sure.
20%.
20%. Yeah, like senior master sergeant's going for chief, right? Yeah. Because they have top 20%. And I didn't have one. And, like, not a lot of people know that. So it's kind of like exclusive. Right?
Yeah, again, why I love this platform. I would have assumed you were number one of fucking
right.
83 or whatever.
Oh, I get it, man. And that I had a strat when I made senior, but mainly thanks to Chief Brimbaugh. But, like, for chief, I had won this big award, and it required me to go out on the road a lot, right? Because when you're the 12 outstanding airman of the year, you're expected to go to everything from AFSA PAC to all the AFAs.
I don't mean this insulting, like, you're a show pony, I guess.
Okay. You're a recruiter for the Air Force in a sense, right? Like, you're going to the big events. We're going to the Air Force Academy, which is where I got this. Cool. You're going to the Air Force Academy. You're speaking to cadets. You're speaking to potential recruits. You're speaking to people that are in there. You're just a face, right? And so when it came time for strats, I sat down, and my squadron commander basically was like, yeah, you weren't here or whatever. I don't know what he thought, and it is what it is. But, basically I wasn't there, and I'm thinking, like, well, how was I supposed to be there? Like, I had to be on the road. And they decided not to push me, man. And mainly because I wasn't there, I think, which is fine. Or maybe they felt I wasn't ready. I don't know. And which is fair. I'm young as shit, But it was brutal, right? And so I gave up on chief, man. Like, I swear to God, you can ask Alexa, man.
So you found out you didn't get a strat, and you were like, I'm content.
I was like, it's over. Yeah, because anyone...
How can you do better?
Well, that, like, at the end of the day in my career field, to make senior, you have to have a strat. And to make chief, you have to have a strat. It's like, the facts don't lie.
Yeah.
It's 100%.
Our career field's that way. Yep.
Yeah. And so when I didn't
outlier.
get this, it's the outlier. So back to your point, right? Like, and I didn't have a strat. And so I was it. I was like, okay, well, I won't make chief. And honestly, I didn't, it is what it is, because when I got the assignment to Kunsan, I was supposed to go be. I had a job lined up at the Capitol Hill for the legislative liaison. I was pretty much hired for that, based off of 12Y stuff. There's a chief there, and he was phenomenal, and I was pretty much hired. And then all of a sudden, I got non-balled here. I'm like, what the hell? But I had a follow-on to Ramstein. So without the strat, I was thinking like, man, you know what? This is cool. I started my career at Ramstein. I'm going to end it at Ramstein as a senior. And who cares? Like, I was totally content. And I wasn't thinking about Chief, not even a little bit, bro, because I didn't have a strat. And as time went on, I went like in the like phases of like depression. I was like, how did he not strap me? Like, I'm one of the 12 outstanding airmen of the year, and I'm not one of the top 20% in the wing. Yeah. Right?
Very, very
doesn't make sense.
Yep.
And there was a new chief there, and I won't mention his name either, but, you know, I didn't think he did a very good job of advocating. You know, my fire chief did, but at the end of the day, it was basically like I wasn't in the seat because I was out. And so there it is, right? And so I'm just feeling down and I'm feeling out. But I recovered and I'm like, dude, it's all good. It's going to be fine. And I was telling Alexa, there's zero chance I'm making chief. We're going to Ramstein. Like literally, I was like, we're 100% going to Ramstein. And dude, 2 weeks prior to the chief results coming out, I was just sitting there and I was thinking like, how can I not get promoted, right? Like I was thinking like.
The board's got to see this.
I was like, they can't ignore that line. Right? They can't ignore it.
They gotta give me a 10.
You know? And so I'm like, damn. And my girlfriend the whole time was like, babe, you're making chief like it's not even a thing. Like she doesn't know shit about military. And she's like, you're fine.
Optimistic, yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. I'm not. Like 0%, right? And obviously rest is history in terms of, you know, I made it without a strat. And it was very surprising to me the amount of people, like, not a lot of people know that, but I share it because the words do matter, bro. Like, and what you do in this Air Force matters. Like, you don't always need a strat. Now, I know that's easy for me to say. You could be like, well, AJ, yeah, but you're totally why you dumbass. Like, of course. But, like, the words matter, bro. And one person, in this case, a squadron commander, shouldn't be able to like dictate your whole career, you know, shouldn't be able to like squash you, you know? And so because I got through and because I was one of the few, I think the last one, I don't want to say his name, but I think there's another chief, one of my mentors that also made it without a strap, maybe about 6 years ago. I think that was the only other one that I know of. And I hope that it's like encouragement maybe to people out there who they're in this crazy system and then maybe they don't get stratted and they feel like they're completely out of the fight and maybe they're not. You know what I mean?
I do. And as a dude who's I'm 31, I just turned 31 this month, and I didn't get a strat going up for senior.
You're only 31?
I am, yeah.
Wait, when did you come in?
09? Oh no, November 08.
You're on fire, bro.
I appreciate that.
Slow down.
Thanks.
Guy's on fire.
Yeah, I did okay. I got a lot of outliers. I think it was a lot of luck.
I feel you there.
Yeah, man. Like I do. Like I was surprised I made master. Yeah. You know, I studied and I took my test.
I don't even know how I'm a chief.
Yeah. But it's really cool to like hear people make it without a strat because when I got my EPR back in October and I didn't have a strat, I was like, oh, I'm not going to make it, and I'm fine with it. And it made it really easy for me to accept because there's so many master sergeants in air traffic that I'm like are way better than me, way smarter than me. I'm not even like I'm a radar guy now, but I'm not there's so much I just don't know about half of my career field. Yeah. So it's easy for me to accept. But then there's people that I'm like, I'm competitive. So like I tried to just be like, I don't want to make it. I have enough stripes. I can have all the influence I want. I'm content here. But then I also know like that's not going to last forever. Like eventually I need more positional power or more opportunity because you only get so much. So it's just interesting to hear like someone like you who won 12 outstanding airman of the year, someone who I'm assuming you only missed rank once. I'm doing my math. Right? Yeah. Which one did you miss?
Dude, I couldn't make staff to save my life. I couldn't make staff.
Twice?
No, a lot. Like, shit. So I came in summer of 03. I didn't make staff until like 09 or 10.
Shit. So
Yeah.
we were airmen together, bro.
Yeah.
We
and
were-
then I made every rank I think first, but like, dude,
You
but
think
I
you
think that was
did.
a blessing, man, because
you learn so much.
you learn so much. And a lot, you know how right now we're promoting them so early,
We are.
which is awesome, but at the same time, it kind of hurts them.
And I think I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Did you
got
win
promoted
BTZ or something?
I did everything except I made staff tech master first time, and then
Oh, shit.
and then I missed math.
You
senior.
are on fire.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't make staff for a while. Well, and it was partially because I didn't know what the hell the PDG was. Nobody told me until like my third time testing. They're like, bro, are you studying the PDG? I'm like, the what? They're like, the PDG, you dipshit. There's this book you got to study. I'm like, oh. And so, yeah, it was a little late in the game. But then, I was a late bloomer, man. But then I made Tech Master Senior Chief, yeah, all in one time, yeah.
So you made staff tech master chief all.
I made Tech Master Senior Chief first time, yeah.
That's awesome.
But we talked about this prior, right? It's because of the way the system had changed when they went to boards.
I mean, you made tech and master with time and grade still a thing.
Okay, so time and grade I did, but not master. Master, they did have boards.
Okay.
Yep, it was the first year, and we talked about that. We're like, if they didn't go to boards, I had zero chance because I didn't have time and grade. I didn't have time and service, time and grade. But they went to boards that first year, and that's what got me across the finish line.
I'm biased because I know you learned my name, so I like you for these other abstract reasons. But I feel like you do deserve to be a chief. I thought it was really cool to know you as a person around the base, and then to look at your board on your induction ceremony and say, "This motherfucker, we might have been in high school together. Now this motherfucker's a chief." That shit was really cool for me. I saw you had a book, and I bought it that night drunk. I was like,
Thanks,
I need
man.
this book.
That's the key. Just get drunk and you'll buy the book.
Get people drunk.
This thing's crazy too because remember I was mentioning McKenna, the Space Force
lieutenant
officer, and her and I started a book, and I kind of feel bad about this shit, but everyone was telling me, hey, write another book, get another book. So we started writing another book.
This was after this one.
Mm-hmm. And her and I started this book, and we might finish it. I don't know. But basically, it's called. So have you read Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss, or maybe heard of?
I've heard of it, never read it.
So basically, in Tribe of Mentors, what Tim Ferriss does is he asks the same 11 questions to world-renowned people in their industry. Okay, so Bill Gates and whoever, right? The same 11 questions, and one of the questions would be if you had a billboard and a million people can see it, what would it say and why? Or another question would be what's the best investment under $100 that you've ever spent and why? Whatever. So we decided to take that concept, morph it into Air Force-ism, and ask Chief of Staffs of the Air Force, Chief Master Sergeants of the Air Force, and it was called Surrounded by Greatness, Air Force Tribe of Mentors.
You got answers from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force?
Oh, I already have them. Yeah, I got. Oh yeah. Well,
Just
Chief Wright, where you at, man? Chief Wright didn't answer for some reason, but we have Chief Murray, we have Chief Benkin, we have Chief.
Shit. These are a lot of Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force.
Oh yeah, we have we have McKinley, so we already have a lot, and we already have this, dude. We already have it.
McKinley was at my ALS graduation.
Dude, I was on the phone with these guys. It was amazing.
That is cool.
Which is another trick, by the way. On Facebook, I was reaching out, and they wouldn't talk to me. I go on LinkedIn and reach out, and they fucking yeah, what's up, man? I'm like, what the fuck?
See, there's a strategy that people need to know.
It's the craziest thing. LinkedIn works.
You get a 92-year-old Chief Master Sergeant.
I was getting everybody on LinkedIn, and we already have probably 30 or 40 interviews, and we want to put this book together. I don't know where I was going with this, but that's the second book that I'm trying to put together. Is the same 11 questions to all these great leaders of our Air Force. General Goldfein. We have, who else do we have? We have some crazy people. We have General Raymond.
General Goldfein?
Yep, General Goldfein, General Raymond.
Yeah, I think you need to bring back your podcast thing.
We
even
have
if it is on a cheap $100 or whatever you had,
No, I can't do that now that you got all this sure stuff, man.
I'm here for another month and a half. Use this. Talk to General Goldfein. That should be cool.
For real.
We can hook up video and Bluetooth, and it'll play.
Just being on the phone with some of these leaders was incredible to hear. Because I want to know their habits. Like Chief CZ, right? Our SEAC. He
was my guest speaker at my NCOA graduation.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Dope.
The 20 silver bullets. Me and Chief Woods talked about this.
Yeah. If you want to fly with eagles, don't hang with turkeys.
That's one of his bullets?
That's one of his bullets. Okay. Habits are like a comfortable bed, easy to get into, hard to get out of.
Yeah,
boom.
That's crazy. We know that.
Yeah, that's in the book.
Is it in there?
Yeah,
So my favorite was profession. Oh no, let me think about it. Amateurs train until they get something right. Professionals train until they can't get something wrong. That was, I think it was number 2 or 3. That one was my favorite.
Legit.
Yeah.
That's legit. Oh, yeah. Chief CZ's in here, man. That guy's a monster.
So while you look for that, take your time. I'm going to tell this story slowly. So I got an award at NCOA, and I really admired Chief Colon Lopez. And one of the guys in my flight was the PJ John Hopper. Love that dude.
That guy's dope.
Yeah, he was PJ fucking dude was awesome. He was homeschooled too, and he didn't tell me that till like our graduation week. And I was like, I couldn't believe it because we have these opinion of homeschool kids. We shouldn't, but I did. And so he was a big fan of Colon Lopez and was talking about him before we even met him. And then he would like be our guest speaker, told us about the 20 silver bullets, and I had the ones that I really admired. And then so when I went up there on the stage, and he gave me a coin, and then like I was
CZ gave you a coin?
Yeah. And he was only the chief master sergeant of AFRICOM, I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
he was right prior to SEAC.
Yeah. So that was why he was our guest speaker. Big deal, but he wasn't too important at that time. I'd never heard of him until he was our guest speaker. And then I shook his hand, and he gave me the coin. And I started to walk away, and then he grabbed me by the shoulder as I was about to meet the colonel, and he's like, John. He even said my name, and I've already told you how much that means to me. He's like, this is just a sprint. Life isn't a sprint. Life is a marathon. Keep pressing.
He said that to you?
He did, yeah.
Wow.
I feel like an asshole saying this. I got Levito at NCOA, and so that's why he said it to me. I don't think he didn't say it to everyone else. I watched people get their DGs and academics, and so I got Levito, and he said that to me, and I remember just like I couldn't get that thought out of my head that he took the time to tell me and me only something special that, and I guess it's kind of weird, like when you see a guy with that's a PJ, in the Air Force, you kind of get like a boy crush, on them. Like, oh wow, like this dude's doing shit a lot of motherfuckers can't do. So when he like took the time to say that to me, and he was saying all these wise things and had leadership concepts that I was a big fan of, to take the time to say that to me and like say, let's get a picture after this, like in this moment where like 200 people, 300 people in Ramstein were looking at us. It like meant so much to me that he'll never understand that, So like seeing him become the SEAC is like, fucking to me, like it meant a lot. And I even emailed him. He didn't get back to me. I don't blame him. He probably had a lot of people email him that he didn't know. Yeah. But like, that shit was like, I wouldn't say a life-changing moment for me, but like one of those moments. I was a journaler then.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Like him just saying that took 10 seconds of his life, influenced me to realize, like cool, I got this award, but that's not the end of it. Yeah.
But the fact that you got Levito, I did not know. That's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah. That's pretty. In NCOA, you did that?
I did.
Damn. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I don't, you should be proud of that because, first of all, it's one person out of an entire class. So you figure at NCOA, you had like over 100 something people at least, and the one person gets Levito. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Cool. And it was shocking to me because even like John Hopper, the PJ in our flight, was like a way better leader. And I could think of 2 other people in my flight alone. And I was like, I have so much to learn from these people, and for them to think I was number 1, that shit did mean a lot.
But I think the humility adds to your credibility of winning it, right? Because when you can genuinely be like, dude, wow, geez, like what about so-and-so? What about so-and-so? That adds to it too. You know what I mean?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what like really made me, it's kind of, I don't know if this is how I'm just going to tell you. So after I got it, like that night, I didn't check Facebook. And then when I checked, because we got drunk, we celebrated with my people I'll never see again. Corey Keaton, that was my like best fucking friend. He was like this maintainer who I thought was stupid because he had a country accent. He was smart as fuck. Like, dude, should have won Levito over me. Dude was just great. And we got drunk. I checked Facebook in the morning and I had like 40 friend notifications from all like these people in NCOA. It's like, that's insane. It was literally like 30% of people just wanted to be my friend off this fucking award. And I was like, this is a huge deal.
That's pretty
like
dope.
In ALS, it wasn't that big. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And like, it was insane.
That's pretty cool, man. Damn.
No, I bet you got 41 friend requests off 12 outstanding airmen.
There was a few, yeah.
Yeah.
But, Facebook's cool, but I really do think that LinkedIn is like the gatekeeper of creating connections that matter. I really do. I like LinkedIn, man. I mean, not enough people have a LinkedIn profile.
I'm going to make one now, but I don't.
Should, dude. It's insane. Like I said, I'm talking to Chief Master on the Air Force on Facebook, blank. Same person on LinkedIn. Hey, what's going on, AJ? I'm like, what the it's insane, man. Like, people want to connect on there, bro. It's awesome. I think LinkedIn's the pathway, man. I think I'm feeling this whiskey too. What is it? The Yamazaki? This was like much more of a full bottle before we started.
Let's finish it.
The Yamazaki single malt.
So I do want to, finish us up. I do like that is interesting to me that the Chief Master of the Air Force retired finds time for you because you have a LinkedIn profile, knows your name. Like that shit is really cool.
Yeah, I got the opportunity. Yeah, I got the opportunity to hang out with Chief Murray at the AFA stuff. We got to spend a lot of time because he's heavily involved with AFA now. He's the I don't want to screw this up. Orville Wright was the chairman, and I think he took over.
Obviously, I know what AFA is. I know, but for anyone that doesn't,
Air Force Association, yeah, and they put on like the big events, the big time events. With the 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year are part of the Air Force Association in DC. It's like an annual event prior to the Rona, right? I don't know how I got to talk to him. It was super cool. CZ was he was our command chief at Kadena.
Oh shit!
Back in the day. And so when I got to see him again, that was really cool. And we got the opportunity to hang out at Chief Wright's house for a while. And CZ was like, dude, drink his whiskey, freaking smoke his cigars, man. He's got plenty. He's fine, And so he was handing them all out to us. I mean, CZ was definitely always keeping it real. He's a good dude.
Yeah, and it's crazy. He's the highest enlisted leader now.
And he's the highest, right? Like, he's higher than the Chief Master of the Air Force.
Isn't it weird how we find, links or like this guy, all he did was hand me a coin, talk to me for 8 seconds.
So there's a connection.
And I'm like, oh, me and this guy, I'm the top enlisted leader with him. Like, I feel that. Like, I feel like if I actually emailed him and said, do you remember that? Like, he would respond to me. Like, I have that off 8 seconds of his time if I need it.
Yeah. And this is a guy that meets people all day long.
Yeah.
It's wild, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good people. It's awesome. Yeah. Freaking Sergeant K. I was just thinking about that. You made Levito. He made Levito. Dude, I haven't won shit. Like, I was a finalist for Commandant one time. What was it? Senior in COA.
Top 4, baby.
I was a finalist for Commandant, I think. But I've never. And they'd be doing the distinguished graduate, And I'm like, no chance, Never.
DG?
Never won DG. Never. Never nothing, man.
Yeah, but so a guy that I'll admit I admire you just off knowing names, master's degree. You teach PMC stuff. Is that right? Is it PMC? PMC.
As far as the manager stuff.
Yeah, the
certified manager.
That one.
Yeah, certified manager credential.
Yeah. So it's just odd to me that you influence in a flight of 12 didn't have that. That surprised me, but it also gives me hope that you don't have to shine at NCOA.
No,
a lot of people are fake there. You can see it,
And the thing is my instructor at senior NCOA, Wendy, she's a chief, and she her and I are great friends now. And I didn't need to win DG to create a connection. Do you get what I'm saying?
Do you feel like senior NCOA was worth your time and you learned a lot?
Yeah, dude, what amazing people on my flight. Same with NCOA. We still Eagle Flight and NCOA, man. We still are close to this day. And who wins the awards just doesn't matter. If you make deep connections, right, and those relationships are cultivated, like what I said, with my senior NCOA instructor, that's all that matters, man. And I don't need to win DG to prove anything to myself, And the people that won DG, great people, more deserving than me, I'm sure. We all have our own place in life, man. You know what I mean? And my place is I'm just trying to motivate people and influence them and encourage them and empower them and help people take risks, bro. And if that doesn't mean I win DG, whatever. You can only be yourself, dude. You know what I mean? And with Wendy, right? Chief T, she's amazing. I'm gonna forward this to you too, Wendy. And you know, the fact that we have a relationship, I'm sure she has a relationship with a lot of students, but I'm willing to bet that the relationship that we've created is in the top 5% of her students. I'm willing to bet, man.
Wendy was your instructor at NCOA?
She was my instructor.
Senior NCOA?
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't win DG. I didn't win it, you know. I didn't win anything.
Yeah. So what do you think? Something I'm trying to capture on these podcasts. What do you think it was that Wendy or you did that was so special that made a top 5% connection of all the people at G? Like, what did she do special that you admired?
Well, she believed in she called it Ohana, right, which is family. And I think because she made it family first and then curriculum second, I think helped. And also, she was so kind to ask me. She knew I had a background in process improvement, and she had a future class. She hits me up, and she's like, "Hey, Jay, what do you think about talking to my class about continuous process improvement? I'm trying to get this across."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Shit." And so I talked to them like on a live Zoom thing, or I don't know what it was, but I talked to them virtually, and I think that her reaching out to me meant a lot to me, you know what I mean? And obviously she saw value in what I was saying. And I don't know, we've just kind of kept it close. And even going back to my girlfriend, like we're all friends. Like, and my girlfriend wasn't even there. Like we weren't
friends with her.
Yeah, they're friends. I don't even know how Alexa and I weren't even together when I met her. So that's Wendy's cool. That type of person though. She's like a freaking magnet, right? She's like a magnet for connections. Yeah. She's a connector, you know?
Yeah. So like, I'm gonna humbly brag about myself. People all the time since I've been a staff sergeant, like, John, you're gonna make chief, and it's like in my head, like, no, the fuck, I'm not. Like, most people are better than me, you know. So like things like that, like hearing Wendy just like reaches out to people, that's something I do. Like when someone talks about your friends, like I like, if it's really interesting enough, I just want to reach out to them and talk to them, and like it's like one of those little traits that I don't think is ever admired or like even acknowledged until like someone says some shit like that. Like Wendy reaching out to Alexa just to say, "What up?" Now they're friends is like something I do. And it's like, oh fuck, like maybe I do have these hidden little traits that make me more special than
for sure, man. Yeah. Being a connector means something, right? Your network is your net worth. Yeah. And I think you do have that. And it's tough, man, because like for you coming up quick, right? And for me too, like, we're at like a disadvantage in some ways because that people expect a lot of us because of our rank, but like we're still young too, right? Like I'm sure you, like I could definitely remember being an A1C, man. Like I can definitely remember being young and just vulnerable and stupid and
afraid
like
to ask questions.
And I'm the exact same person now, but the only difference is I have more stripes, right?
You have all the stripes,
right? Yeah, now. And so that brings me back to like always remembering where I came from. You know what I'm saying? And I think for you, man, like it's the same deal. Like just be John, bro. You know, do the podcast, take care of your peeps, but like just be you, and everything else will come, man. And if it doesn't come, perfect. It doesn't define you anyway. Like at the end of the day, you could be a freaking command chief, right? Which is badass. But if you get out and you worked at, not that you probably would, but you worked at Home Depot and you were late on your break and they're like, "Hey, Bill, break's over." Like, dude, I was a fucking command chief. Who are you talking to? Like, "Hey, good for you, bro. Break's over," right? Like, this is all temporary shit.
It is.
This is all temporary shit. And so the friendships you make, those will be everlasting. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll last forever, man.
That is like such a good ideal because of course we're pressured into like wanting to get promoted through our competitive and human natures of wanting to do things. But for you to just be like, yeah, it's not that important. For you to make it at 18 years, you know, and for
it's really
you
not.
To say it,
it's not.
It's not. But we're pressured into thinking it is.
The system's built.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I get it. You get the best out of your people by pushing. Like if we just said it's okay to do nothing, like a lot of people might actually like do nothing, and we don't want that either.
True, man. I know a lot of people that they've made a living off of being like that guy. Like, oh yeah, hey, do you know Chief so-and-so or whomever, right? Oh, dude, I love him. I love her. Yeah, he was awesome. Like, and you know, he didn't make me do shit, right? And then I think he's not awesome. He didn't challenge you. right? Like he didn't like try to stretch, right? And so yeah, it's easy to be cool. Like I can go to the fire department right now and be like the coolest chief in the whole planet. All I have to do is just not hold anyone accountable, right? All I have to do is just party.
Yeah,
that's all I have to do.
You have all the influences.
I can be the coolest.
Yeah,
but that's not who they're going to remember. I mean, and if the people that do remember those and that do value those people, those are typically the people that are trying to get away with doing nothing. But the people with high character, the people that are performing, they don't want that, man. They want to be challenged. They want to be held accountable. They want new opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
I do. So something I learned relatively recently is that people like organizational structure, and they also like to know discipline. Like they like it's easy. Like if you are a brand new airman, you don't want to show up to Nellis and there's no structure, so you don't know what to do. You need the structure. You need to be told this is how you operate.
Sure.
And even more so, like even as an airman or even as an NCO, like people actually like discipline. They like to know they're fucking up by someone they respect. You're a very respectable dude. Like people actually like that and learn from it and grow from it, as opposed to just them fucking up and you be like, don't worry about it, bro. Yeah, then they're just gonna keep doing it. Like they actually admire and grow from being told they fucked up.
Especially if you're disappointed, right?
Yeah.
I had an airman at Nellis and he was just messing up a lot, man. And it'd be like, I brought him into my office and I asked him, I said, hey, Airman so-and-so, I won't drop his name. I'm trying to not drop names.
Yeah, I fucked up with Sherry.
I said, hey, are you an asset or a liability to this team? And as soon as he was about to answer, I said, wait, don't answer. I want you to think about it. And I left and I just, went off and bullshitted with him. And I left him for like 10 minutes, dude. This guy's sitting in my office like, what the hell am I doing? The deputy fire chief. Yes. And, but it's a real self-reflection type of moment. You know what I mean? Am I an asset or am I a liability? Like they want people to hold them to a higher standard, man. You know what I mean? It's like John Maxwell talks about the law of the rubber band, the stretch. And you have to be always stretched, and I found I'll go into some departments and there's no stretch, bro. Like they're doing what they're doing, and the second you go in and you're like, hey, no, you need to know your job and you need to know it well. It's like, that guy's an a-hole. You know what I mean? It's like, no. But over time, you can create that culture. Like, man, I tell you right now, John, I'm so Kunsan Fire Department, man. Shout out to my boys at Kunsan because and female, we got a female now. Like they are on fire right now. And in the beginning, when I got here, we had some issues and we were trying to really get after it through training. And a lot of people were pissed. But dude, I'm telling you right now, bro, like right now, this fire department here, they are getting after it, dude. They're out all day, John, training. I don't tell them to do shit. I don't even work there really. Like they literally are fully autonomous. They just do it. And it's the best feeling in the world, man. And that can only happen when you hold people accountable. It can only happen when you say, hey, no, like we have high standards here. This is what we're getting after, bro. And they just, dude, people want to do well. No one goes to work like trying to like fuck up the organization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I can only think of this from the small aspect that I've seen since I've been here. But since I've been here, fire department, we got here around the same time. Fire department has won 3 MVP awards. Tier 2 awards, sure, not a big deal. They've won 3 since we've been here. They've won 0 in the last 3 years. So obviously you showed up and did something differently.
Oh, I didn't know they won 0 in the last 3 years. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I can look back and I see them. I see all the winners.
Yeah.
What was it? And maybe you don't know, and this is the first time it's being brought to your attention. What do you think it was that you showed up and did differently to make this change happen?
Definitely me.
Because before you answer it, my idea is if we can, even if everyone's not going to win awards if this is broadcasted, but if we can just capture what it is that makes simple organizations successful and share that, the Air Force will be great. But anyone who listens to outside the Air Force will also be great. So what is it that AJ Kehl thinks you did differently that made the fire department shine since you've been here?
I don't think there's anything that I've done personally. Like we talk about luck. I'm pretty lucky, right? I have some people down there that are just getting after it, dude. I can't explain it. Like we have some go-getters, Yeah, we have some people like him, like just go-getters, right? They're just trying to get
He
it.
says, "Hey, what's up, Sergeant Tisue?" When I see him around base, like, how the good
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you for knowing my name.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
how I am about that. Like, wow.
No, Corey does. Yeah. I
Corey
think
is
that's
that.
what it is. And also we've set the standards higher, and like this bar that seems high, is all relative because it seems high until you reach it. And then it's like the minimum. Does that make sense? Like when we got here, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and some of the other senior NCOs, like things were a certain way, and it wasn't bad or good. COVID had a lot to do with it, I'm sure. But we just had a different mindset, and we went about it a different way through radical truth and radical transparency, right?
Sure, but without, so these are your words. So without, you're saying the word we, language of champion, saying we instead of I, like, would you say that was your big thing though? Like, this is what you wanted when you showed up?
Yeah, like when you're young, you're like, hey, if I'm ever in power, this is, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, but you have to, like, in order to create real change, especially when we have this big ship and a small rudder, in order to create real change, you have to have a couple things. Number one, you have to, in the beginning, everyone has to be involved in the strategic planning.
Buy-in.
Everyone has to be involved. Yeah. Second thing that you need is you need to create a sense of urgency. Like, you need to show why things need to be the way they need to be. And the third, and probably the most important, is you need champions at the middle and lower tiers.
That's Cotter's process for change.
That is John Cotter's. Yeah, you're right. And you need, as very summarized, right? Because he has 8 steps. He has 8 steps. And sense of urgency being one, and the champions being third, I think it is on his steps. But that's what I've seen. And so that's what I try to create. And we started it with, we all sat down and we said, hey, what are we great at? What do we suck at? What are the things, SWOT analysis, right? What are the things that we could do great at on the outside? And what are some of our threats? And we literally got everyone involved, all the way to the lowest airman, and everyone had a piece of the pie. And I think that helped our culture to get to where it is now. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know. Maybe some people freaking hated at Coons on Fire. But I'm willing to bet that the majority, given the COVID situation and all this stuff that's happening, enjoy the fact that they come to work and like they know that everyone's accountable to know their job. Like this community, like if some shit happens here, like we will mitigate it, dude. That's what we don't care about awards. Yes, we're going to recognize our people, but we don't need to be the on paper, like, oh, we're the fire department of the MAGCOM. Like, who gives a shit? We'll mitigate an emergency because that's what you expect from us, right? You expect us to know our job, and my guys, they know their job, and that's what I'm most proud of.
That is a good thing to be proud of. And I got 2 things to say. I know a female NCO who has said to me multiple times, we need to be more like the fire department, who all they do is care about each other and care about work, and they do everything together, and they're together. Like, she said that about you guys, which I'm sure for you being the leader, that feels good. And
for sure.
And the second thing is just like, I don't know. I had it while you were talking what I was going to say. It's just like, I'm just going to shoot from the hip from this point. But like just that teamwork, like to give a shit about each other more than like the bigger Air Force awards, just to like be happy is something like that's me being a senior. So that's all I care about is like, how can my people just do the job and be happy? Like that is such a hard thing to fucking grasp, figure out, push out, and like identify. This is how we do it.
Yeah, they need to know that you have their back, right? And I know you know this, man. And I think at the firehouse, hopefully they know that like there are things that you can keep internal. Like my squadron commander doesn't need to know everything, right? And if he's listening to this, he's be like, "What? Fool? Yeah, I do." No, he doesn't, right? Like there are certain things that you got to keep internal. And what I mean by that is not to like let people get away with shit, but like don't forget like who you are, right? Like I was an airman, right? Yeah. And I did dumb shit. And sometimes dumb shit happens, but if the team knows that you have their back, they're much more likely to work harder for you. You know what I mean?
I do. It's something I've been trying to implement because I have this one airman and she is just like so aggressive about asking me questions whenever she wants. Like that's how she was to start with.
That's awesome though.
It is because I remember being an airman having so many questions on this, like how can I do my job? But when I would ask an NCO or senior NCO, they would just say, look it up. Why are you asking me? Why don't you know that? And they didn't answer my question. And so I just was like, I'm just going to hope this never comes up again.
Yeah,
you know, and I just wouldn't find the answer. I would move on. And so I have this airman. She's fucking great. She comes to me 3 times a day with a question. It's like, you know, you probably should be able to find this on your own, but I'm going to tell you because I can reflect on like how much it impacted me that some of my fucking people that my top mentors like wouldn't answer for me, like just hurt me because I just was like, hopefully it just didn't come up again. Yeah. So it's cool that like you have that atmosphere to where people are willing to just ask you or Castro or who's the I think he's Hispanic, very, very muscular master sergeant. He's a firefighter.
Yeah. Kemp, Roger Kemp.
Kemp, yeah. I love that dude. Every time I see him on base, we don't know each other's name, but we point at each other.
Look, Kemp is the mayor of this place.
Yeah,
right?
that would give that.
He's our den daddy. He's our prevention. He's the mayor. And
what's on his jersey?
Smash.
That's it. Okay, yeah. I was like, Kemp doesn't relate to his jersey. That's it.
Well, Kemp. Listen, Kemp is he's one of like those guys. You know, like if you go, hey, these are the top 10 best human beings I've ever met. Kemp's in the top 10. Yeah. You know,
I barely know him, but I would give him.
Yeah, he's probably in the top 5, man. The guy's a big ass teddy bear. He's a monster.
Yep. So when I went to your chief induction ceremony, I showed up, got dressed by myself, walked into he saw me by the CAC walking, and he like pointed at me, and I pointed at him, and then he kind of jogged, and I was like, nah, fucking weirdo, why are you jogging to greet me? We got into the L Club at the same time. He's like, bro, your bow tie's fucked up, and like your collar's up, and I was like, oh fuck, you know,
nice.
like, yeah, and I was like, man, like you see
just
me
helping you out,
yeah, like exactly. I was about to walk into this fucking thing and be embarrassed, and Kemp fucking.
I don't understand how he knows so many people. Like Kemp knows everybody. It's like insane. He knows everybody, every career field. Kemp knows everybody. The guy's crazy.
Yeah, that says something. And that's like one of those many things that I wish we could identify for people who get promoted. Like that motherfucker isn't in the top 3, I don't think. But he fucking knows everybody.
Yeah, true. And you know, it brings me to my like a thought of I was again LinkedIn. I was looking at something that CZ commented on, and it said like some guy was like, things I've learned from the most successful people or something. And I can't remember what the 2 or 3 bullet points were, but at the end of it, it said, and they always leave the conversation with, I love you, brother. And CZ copied that. CZ commented and was like, man, this is really well said. I love you, brother. Right. And it reminds me of Kemp because he's the guy who he'll tell you he loves you all the time. Yeah. And like how we demask like masculinity, like from like what's cool or whatever, and like genuinely, there's so much there's like so much like it's so advantageous to say like, hey man, I love you, brother. Like it's okay, you know what I mean? And that's what Kemp signifies. Like the guy literally tells everyone, I love you, bro. Well, he says, I love you, motherfuckers. That's what his thing is. That's his thing.
That sounds like him.
I mean, that's his thing. I downgraded it to I love you, brother. But he does, man. He always reminds you, man. Like every single day, he'll remind you that he loves you. And that's a special type of person.
So literally today, I went to the gym. I woke up at 5:30 this morning, went to the gym at 5:50, worked out. I saw him at the gym. He was doing his thing. I was doing mine. And as I was leaving, 6:40, I'm walking out. Right at the exit of the gym, and he like taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and he's like, hey, see you later, bro. Like he stopped. Maybe he wasn't working out. Maybe he stopped what he was doing, but like he literally like just stopped and caught me at the door as I was leaving and didn't acknowledge him to say like something to me. That shit is such a simple gesture, but like I didn't even know his name, but I knew I would fucking do anything for this guy, and every time I see him, I just smile. Like what a simple way to influence people that, again, nobody does.
Yeah. Those things go beyond the barriers of Kunsan too. You know, when I first got here, when I was on the flight here, I had a couple people hit me up just about him exclusively and say, oh, hey, Roger's going to be there. The dude's fucking great, blah, blah, blah. You know, and so the way you treat people has longer lasting effects than you might know. You know what I mean?
It does. Yeah. Like literally today, as he did that, I was like, something I need to do.
Yeah.
I could just tell he's older than me. He's wiser than me. And that he took that effort to let me know I'm leaving. Yeah, like just what a simple gesture. Took 10 seconds of his day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's freaking awesome, man. Yeah, he's a good dude. I love it. I'm glad to be here, man. And like, you know, like I said, when you asked me to be on this podcast, I was like, dude, absolutely. And for you to take action on a thought and to be up on this board here. I'm going to write my name up there.
Cool. So
hopefully, maybe not tonight because I'm already like kind of drunk.
No, you're doing it tonight.
I'm feeling pretty buzzed.
I got to ask this. I have like 7 different colors in there. What color are you going to use?
Blue for sure.
Okay. I thought firefighters just use red.
Yeah, I know that would be very cliche. You're right. Well, it looks like Throwback and Gene used red. I'm going to go with blue, man.
Oh, that's an option. So last question I like to ask everybody.
All right.
I guess it's a 2-part question. Who, like your top mentor throughout your 18 years of the Air Force, who is it?
Shit.
And then also, like a moment that like in your career that you remember that kind of changed who you were. So we can go with the first one is like a top mentor of your career. You can pick more than one if you need to.
Yeah,
like,
I might need to. Sure.
Try not to get too many in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And specifically, what was it that person did that made you a 12 outstanding airman of the year, a chief select at 18 years, like make that person important?
Yeah, so a couple people come to mind. First one would be Chris Moore. He was my fire chief, and he had at Kadena. I was a young staff sergeant, and he basically was the guy that raised my standards. Like prior to him, I'm not gonna say lower standards by any means, but I had the standards weren't as high in the sense of like I was good to go, whatever I'm doing. Whereas my good to go in his meeting was like, hey, that's not good enough. And I'm like, oh shit, right? And so he's like, this is where you are. This is where you need to be. And because of him, I raised my standards to a point that got me where I was thinking differently than even my peer group. And it was because of Chris Moore. So I would say that he deserves a lot of credit for that. And I keep in touch with him to this day. And then moving forward into my tech sergeant years would be
Is Chris still in?
No, he was he was a chief master sergeant. He's now, I want to say he's the assistant chief of training at RAF Alconbury, maybe, because his wife is English and they wanted to be there. Cool. And then as I move forward, Matthew Hitchcock comes to mind because Matthew Hitchcock was the guy he was my deputy fire chief, and he gave me some opportunities outside of fire to really excel. And that led to like my first actual award, which ended up being a catalyst. Like I said, Chief Tim Randolph for letting autonomy flourish. You know what I mean? Letting me be a peacock like Mark Wahlberg on a fucking movie. The other guys where he's like, I'm a peacock, let me fly. That's how Tim Randolph was. And so I got to give him credit. And then moving forward, guys like John Thompson, he's a fire chief at Ramstein. He's the fire chief at Ramstein right now. He submitted me for that award that ended up winning 12AY. So he believed in me, obviously. And then it can go on, man. But like the mentor, I think like it's hard, man. Like mentorship, like there's so many, here at Kunsan, I think of people like Malcolm Summers, who's my CE chief. I think of people like Wolf Chief, obviously, who's given me time like 2 or 3 times where, he's a busy ass dude, and give me
time to fucking just talk to you.
Yeah. Dude, and fucking keep it real at least. So yeah, it goes on and on and on and on, man. So to narrow it down to one is tough. But another big mentor of mine is inside of all the books. I tell everybody and this because you're obviously an avid reader, like books are important, bro. Like I find mentorship in these authors that have already done big things, and they're literally sharing their principles and their methodologies with us, dude. You know what I mean? I do. Like they're sharing it with us. So I think we got to take advantage of that too. And as far as like a defining moment, was that the next question?
Yeah, just like a moment that you like can pinpoint.
Yeah, that
changed your life, like that coffee shop moment.
Oh, I can, yeah.
Yeah, but like another one, not the coffee shop moment where that dude asked you to be the innovation guy for Spangalum. Like another one, where like a moment where some leader or someone said something to you and you like took it. Yeah, and you still remember it.
Poof. I don't know. I was talking to Branch earlier today, as you know, and when she asked me, she was doing this interview, and she asked me about like moments and stuff like that. And I would say the moment that comes to mind that changed who I am as a person and as a leader would be on January 31st of 2018, when I woke up and my left ear was ringing really loud. And the reason for it is because it was the first time in my life that I couldn't control something. And so when that happened and it was ringing real loud and I couldn't control it, I started freaking out. And then the next couple of weeks put me in this type of depression that I'm always an optimistic kind of guy. Like, I've never been depressed. I couldn't even relate with people who are depressed. Like, if you were to say, oh, I'm depressed, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know, I don't even understand it. But going through that was the defining moment in my life that, through that, my faith, stuff like that allowed me to like realize that I don't have control over my life. And I think it like matured me in a lot of ways. Like, hey bro, like life is fragile, like get a grip, right? And to this day, like as we're having this podcast, like, you know, it's ringing louder than us talking, you know. Now I've been able to deal with it, but it's always a good reminder to be grateful for what I have and to stay humble and stuff like that. And I would say that's the defining moment in my life. It's allowed me to, at least I think, be a better friend, be a better boyfriend, right? Maybe a future better husband, be a better coworker, be a better everything, man, is all because my ear rang.
Just like imagining that life could end is what you were thinking?
I guess, because like at the end of the day, like I really wanted to die. I'm not going to lie, but
that bad.
It would, oh, dude. Yeah, for sure. But I feel like now, like prior, if someone's like, oh, I'm just depressed or I'm going through whatever, I'm like, okay. But now I will reflect on how I felt and how dark and how deep that shit was. And especially for somebody who's never felt it, like I've always been pretty good. Like my whole life's been great, man. But then when somebody feels something bad, now I stop and I'm like, oh shit, if they feel even half of what I felt, like this is okay. Time out, right? Like something's going on and the mission doesn't even fucking matter at this point. Like this is a human being here. What's going on? And so I think that is the most defining moment of my life, is that January 31st, because like I learned that I don't control my life, whether it's a higher power, whether it's whatever. Like we don't control our lives. Like we must be grateful for everything we have. We must value our relationships. We must actually consider character and cultivate character. And prior to that, I don't think I did. I think I'm a man of much higher character, much higher principles. I think I'm more loving. I think I'm more patient. I'm not that fucking patient, but I think I'm more patient. I think I'm just a better all human being because of what's happened. You know what I mean? So that would be the defining moment in my personal and my professional life.
Yeah. And it's crazy because that's less than 3 years ago. That wasn't, or I guess it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It was. I'm very grateful to even be here. Like some days are better than others. You know what I mean?
And it's really interesting to hear a Chief Select say that, because even as every rank goes through, that's a thing. Like some days we're not feeling great. You know, we've felt those highs. We felt the highest pinpoints of our career or our life. And then when it goes a little lower in a sudden sadness where it's like, oh, well, my life's over. I've hit my pinpoint. And it's not.
Yeah.
Like there's so many, life's a roller coaster.
Dude, it really is. I remember thinking like, hey man, I had a good ride.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. I was ready to honestly, I was ready to kill myself, but I didn't. I had good support but I really got like, hey, good ride.
Yeah. And not to revalidate that, like I'll say it, you're influencing me. You're influencing anyone, about 100 people who listen to this thing.
Hell
yeah.
Like,
It's so good. People don't do dumb shit like that and make those decisions.
That's right.
Like
that's right.
We're coming to the end, but I have to share this story. When I was like a high schooler, I was dating this girl, and she listens. She's a subscriber, I think. She listens to most of these. She talks about it. Mickey. I won't say her last name so no one can Google her. Mickey was her name. We dated from like 8th to 10th grade, and when she broke up with me, I thought my life was fucking over.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna find love. I've given myself and been vulnerable to this person who didn't fucking feel the same. I thought my life was over, and then I moved, and like now I realize how fucking stupid was I. Like the lowest point of my life was like thinking that this girl, 16-year-old girl, didn't like me enough, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, because I thought I was like, my life was over. But now I can look back at that. That was damn 15 years ago. Like, how fucking stupid was I to think that was the end of my life? And that's all instances. No matter what happens, it's momentarily. Wait a year or two, it's going to pass.
That's right.
You're going to get the fuck over it.
That's right.
Yeah.
This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it's a Bible verse of some type?
I don't know. My dad told me that when I was going through my divorce. He said, this too shall pass. And it's hard because when you're in the moment, it's like, no, it won't.
Nope, this is permanent.
But it will, man.
Yeah, you made Alexa. She sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, she's dope.
She fucking waited for you a year out here.
Already a year.
Came out.
Already a year, man. Yeah.
Alexa, you don't know me, but I met you at the on-base Korean restaurant. Said hello, right. And then congratulated on AJ on making Chief. Yeah,
she's super dope, man. She's a like I said in the very beginning of this session with us, man. Like, you know, you're gonna have people around you that are gonna bring you down, or they're gonna lift you up, man. And you need the lifters if you're ever gonna be anybody, because behind every great man, behind every great woman is a partner. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
There's a partner that lifts them up, and that matters more than anything to me, bro.
Who's your partner?
Well, Alexa's my partner, man.
Yeah, it's my girl. Checked out, dude. So I'm not gonna preemptively say this or expect anything, but I'll be in America in June. And if you guys ever get married, I expect an invite. I
calm
enjoy,
down, Alexa.
I enjoy weddings. They're like the best fucking time. I'm very social. Maybe I'll find a new.
If we ever have one, it'll be dope as shit. I promise.
I believe it will. But hey, if you have anything left to say, anything to inspire, motivate, your biggest fucking thing, like names are important to me. Whenever someone approaches me and says, "Hey, Sergeant Tisue, Master Sergeant Tisue, what's your biggest influence to like be a leader?" Names is my thing, as we've shared. If you have anything left to say, let me hear it.
Well, man,
close this out.
I definitely appreciate it, John. Like, dude, you know, meeting you has been great. Thanks for obviously advocating for the book, because I do believe that the words in there are keeping it real. I'm not making any money off of this. I really believe people. It's the stuff I wish that when I was a senior airman, like people were telling me.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being an advocate for that. And you know, I would say that the parting words, man, is that you know, dude, we're all the same, bro. Some of us in the Air Force, in the military, like some of us get higher ranks than others, but we're all the same. And mentors can come in any rank, any fashion, right? Like it doesn't matter. I believe your network is really your net worth. I think you need to really focus on deep, meaningful relationships if you want to be successful in this life, and deep, meaningful work as well, through radical truth and radical transparency, man. And that's what I would tell anyone who's listening. Like, just keep it real and be ultra transparent. Like even in your thoughts, like at the fire department, like I might be thinking about where I'm going to move people. I'll just tell them. I'll talk to them. I'll talk all in a big group. Like it doesn't need to be a secret. You know what I mean? Let people feel what's going on. Let them know what's happening in your thoughts. And I would say that would lead you to some success. And that's it, man. I appreciate you having me on, dude. I wish you like the greatest success. I hope you get from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 listeners. And man, it's been fun, man. And I even got a buzz drinking this awesome whiskey. And I get to go back to my dorm room, eat a little bit, and reflect on our great conversation, man. So I appreciate it.
Thanks. Man, as you're like, it's a thing I do, and I'm gonna get better at it. But as you're talking, I hit like 7 things. Like, oh, I should talk about that. But you being on here means a lot to me. This is one of the podcasts I'm gonna just re-listen to because you said so many things that like were interesting in the moment, and then I couldn't process it. So I'll re-listen to it. I think anyone that listens to it will learn a lot. And yeah, man, just thank you so much for doing that. I will read your book. I'm gonna reach out to you to try to like just hang out with you for 30 minutes to talk about it. Just like for different things I maybe agree with or disagree with. I get your idea. Yeah, everybody. Anyone who's listening, AJ Kehl, 12 Outstanding Airman of the Year. Never won an award until that. Shit's fucking cool. Man, thanks so much for coming up here. And I didn't say this earlier, but when I was even thinking about podcasting, he randomly walked up to me. I knew who you were from a great mentor of mine, probably top 2, Chief Master Sergeant Jason Harper. Spangalum. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's airfield manager. He, I had a package for senior and CO of the year for the wing, and I did okay there. I'm not good, and I did good. And he was like, you know, sometimes people that win 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year are normal people. I've seen their package, and they're normal people who are doing great things. And he said you were a fire guy. He said you were at Spangalum. And then when I came here and Cass Caruso was like, oh, yeah, one of the 12 outstanding airmen of the year came here from Spangalum. He went to another. So I was like, man, like, why do I keep hearing this dude's name? And then I'm at this barbecue and you just walk up and like introduce yourself. I'm like, I know you, man. Like, and it's so weird for me to be like, I know you. I really want to talk to you, but it's weird that I know all this shit about you. So, you know, you're like modest because that's a normal thing to do. And it's Kunsan. People get to know each other. And yeah, like for you to like influence me, like, hey, I barely know you, but I think you'd be good at podcasting. Like, and I have all this shit and I'm doing it in your episode number 5.
There you are,
like,
bro.
Such small, like just you walking up that day to that smoke pit influenced this podcast.
It's awesome,
like,
man.
And it's so fucking crazy to think how, like, had you not walked up that day and me pitched this idea I had, I might have never done it. But for you to be like, yeah, that's cool, and I would do it. All right, I'm going to buy all this shit now.
Yeah. And so you did, cool. Man. I'm super proud of you, and it's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Really, thanks for coming on. Thanks for finding time for me. I know about 100 air traffic controllers are going to listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a couple firefighters, and maybe they'll learn, and maybe you just all learn either way. I'm really happy you did
I hope so, man. Thanks,
cool.
brother.
Hey.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, man.
Chief Kehl. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for listening to Have a Tisue Podcast, episode number 5 with Chief Select Andrew Kehl. AJ was a perfect guest for what I am after in this podcast. AJ had so much to offer, and this podcast probably could have exceeded 5 hours if we wanted it to. Have a Tisue Podcast is still growing. Upcoming guests include Chief Master Sergeant Kendall Clark, the Wizard Chief and RAPCON Chief Controller at Kunsan Air Base, Technical Sergeant Robert Grady, who is my sole troop here at Kunsan, and the Viper Chief of Kunsan Air Base. I'm always open and willing to talk about my podcast and take suggestions on potential questions I could ask people. My current platforms are YouTube, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and Anchor. If you're willing to subscribe on any of those platforms, I'd be grateful.